Welcome to Can Angels Fly, Tarot, and more. My name is Nancy, and today I'm here to do a live research and meditation. I do believe that my findings informs us about what tomorrow will bring. Because this is a research and meditation, live research and meditation session, I don't have per se an outline. I'll just be talking and sharing. I haven't been on YouTube very much in a while, and it's been for different reasons. One of the reasons is that I had a lot of information. I had a lot going on. When a person investigates reality, sometimes the findings can be hard to digest. So I go through these phases in which is hard to digest, and I was finding a lot out that was difficult to digest, and so I had to go through that. Plus, I was having a lot of visions that were kind of imposing themselves upon me. Then, of course, it's my real life, personal life that needs to be attended to. I'm not going to give a lot of details here about what I'm about to share, but I'll just say this. I had the opportunity to people watch up close and personal. So I got to watch the people up close in my community. And what I saw was behaviors or patterns, even shared patterns, or I call it third house matters, which is third house in astrology is Gemini's house, and it is the house of community, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, people from your neighborhood and our community. It's the community itself and all that dwells in it. It is the shared mindset, the shared concerns, etc., etc. So I got to watch up close and personal. And I saw a lot of subconscious, unhealthy. Hello, how you doing, Sandra? I got to see a lot of subconscious, unhealthy patterns. And I wasn't able to recognize them in myself until I was, put it like this, on the other side of the glass. But once I was on the other side of the glass, I could see again the very subconscious, unhealthy behaviors. In my community, I noticed that just about everybody did the same thing. I also got to see that in my local, local businesses do not offer healthy foods. They don't. And I've heard people say that, but I never saw it. When I go into the stores and things, I thought I bought healthy stuff, like peanuts, of course the high in sodium, but I bought peanuts. I'm a nut eater, sunflower seeds and different things like that. Every now and then I might get a pretzel. I enjoy Smart Waters until I looked on the back of Smart Water the other day and saw that the water had ingredients, so anyway, I've been having this eye-opening experience in which I was again able to see me and those within my immediate environment subconscious unhealthy habits. What I saw from being I having the opportunity to be on the other side of the glass. I know I'm raggedy, y'all. Don't talk about me. I know my dress torn. It's hot. Oh yeah, I want to apologize for the fans. I'm still in the same room, so I got two fans on each side of me. So you might hear an airy sound. Hopefully you can hear me clearly. So back to these subconscious, and unhealthy practices that people have. And I'll try to tell you why I'm talking about it, because it plays into everything I've been experiencing over the last few months. So I'm behind the glass, and I see again like obsessive or compulsive activities or behaviors, like lottery playing and throwing away a lot of resources. Now, I'm in a community that is a poor community, poor working class people. You know, these are people that have inherited their parents' homes, you know, and so they're not, well, some of them might be millionaires, you know. So I put like this, if it's a millionaires in my neighborhood, they undercover millionaires, but it's highly possible. So, but you know, these are people that basically are still, like, it's like they living off of the last generation's accomplishments. Okay, so when I say like playing a lottery, obsessive compulsively, or scratch tickets, obsessive compulsively, over and over again. I'm talking about till it's unnatural or it's unhealthy. That type of compulsive behavior. Another thing I noticed while behind the glass is that just about every man that came in, some females, requested something called some honey. I'm like, why is it people coming to buy honey? I'm gonna go down to the Eastern marketplace, and I'm gonna buy a big jar of honey, and I'm gonna pack it and sell it. These people buying this honey like it's going out of style. What are they doing? And they were paying like for maybe an ounce, I guess, $7-8. And I found out it was like an aphrodisiac or a sexual stimulant or something. But it was that everybody was doing it. Everybody was doing it. I'm like, how can everybody be turned on to the same item at the same time? Everybody. Back and forth all day long. Like, wow. Do they even know what's in it? They know the effects of it, but do they really know what's in it? Okay. I'm going somewhere with this. If you just ride the wave with me, the original wave creator, if you ride the wave with me, I'm going somewhere with this eventually. And I don't know how long I'm going to be on here. Just live session, meditation. This is to make me meditate. I'm sharing. I am verbalizing my meditation to you. So you can what? Ride the wave with me, if you need. So, another thing that so many people, it almost seems like almost every person that came in while I was behind the glass came in and they requested some, like tobacco products, whether it was cigarettes of different types, or like I guess cigars or blunt wraps, whether it was something called backwood or what else did they have? Something woods, backwoods, game, so many, all unhealthy things, or vapors, breezes and things. Obsessive. It kind of seemed like the younger generation, the women, ordered the breeze, which is one of those inhaler things, puff things. What do you call it? I forgot what it's called. But it was everybody. Like, how is everybody turned out on some smoking apparatus? Everybody is going to have lung problems. In the last couple of live streams I made, I talked about the different death traps that have been set up by these ethereal beings or entities that are partial to our being humanity's demise. They have an interest in our demise, but it was up to us, the way I'm seeing it. Hopefully I get to come back to that during this session. Anywho, I'm looking like, oh my God, include myself, again, subconscious, unhealthy behaviors. Everybody is getting some smoking product. or I'll say smoking product because they were getting those vapors. I think it's called vapes or whatever. Of a different type with a primary focus on this thing called the breeze. And then there was those again that buy the tobacco products, the various cigarettes and things, and mini cigars, and I mean just everybody. I didn't realize it was so many smokers. And then it was though I guess the marijuana or the cannabis users. Boom! Everybody wants a blunt, a wrap, a Swisser Sweets, and this and that. But what really got me when people would come in and ask for these packages of wraps or blunts or whatever they're called, is that they all wanted to fill on them. They all wanted to fill on them. Everybody had to fill on these packages. And I guess they were filling for, I guess, softness to make sure that the blunts hadn't gotten old. Now, mind you, the turnover for restocking the shelves is at least, the way I saw it, three times a day, 3-4 times a day. So they never sat on the shelves long. Just talking about, again, subconscious behaviors that are very unhealthy. Another thing I saw while I was behind the glass was that people came in, this is in direct relationship to the government administering additional food stamp benefits. I learned from people that many places have stopped accepting, I'm in the inner city, have stopped accepting the bridge card, which is food benefits. And so they have less options, as far as stores to shop at. So these people come in with all of these additional benefits, which are ridiculous. I'm talking about Costco level, Sam's Club level, really stock your house up, fill the pantry up to the house is popping at the seams benefits. But I noticed that, again, subconscious and unhealthy behavior, people would buy so much. I'm talking about $30, $40 worth of junk food. $30, $40 worth of junk food. All unhealthy, everything. And I'm looking at what was really bothering me. I saw some older people, my age and older, do it. Well, they wouldn't buy it in large quantities, but they would buy things that I would think a person that's in their 50s, 60s, and 70s wouldn't buy. Because usually by then, if you're going to have some health issues, they kind of come up in there. Come up during that time. But still, people executed, again, the subconscious, unhealthy, choices. But it was the young people. Young people, when I say the powers in this world have used every manipulative tactic they can. It's just not the powers. The powers are working for these dark, ethereal entities I've been talking about over these last few live streams. Now, I've started talking about them before after doing research, especially biblical research. And every time I tell you I get to where it's aliens or some ethereal being, I dropped the pen. But now I can't ignore it, especially after the visions I done had and continue to have. They're finally slowing down, thank goodness. You say, I'm doing fine. I'm a guy with autism in my early 20s. How are you? I'm fine. Thank you. You're high functioning. Definitely. So I'm happy for that. Anyway. Research and meditation. So let me show you some of the work that I've been doing, or notes I've been taking over the last month. So I guess it's like 1, 2. I want you to see. I have some more. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Anyways, this may be an odd question, but do you own a leather jacket? I have noticed that some tarot readers wear them. I have a leather but I'm not. It's too hot to wear leather. It's too hot to wear leather right now. And it is a very odd question. So, let's listen. Alright, so the reason why I showed you my notes that I've accumulated over about a month, and why I counted some of them, is to show you that I've been busy. I'll be right here behind the scenes at all times, and if life, leads me to have to go out into the world to address some life-sustaining issue, I'm here, right behind the scenes. So you can always contact me. You can feel free to order your own personal tarot reading by contacting me by email, which is canangelsfly1@gmail.com. All the details are below this video. Anyway, as you may be able to see, these different notes have sticky notes on them, so I know what to talk about. And these notes that I've accumulated come from astrological readings. They come from the visions I've been having, and the different type of messages that I receive other than visions. And when I say the different type of messages, it's like this cumulative effect I get after so much research. Now, I've been researching in detail for quite a few years, but it intensified since 2016. When if you follow me, I told you about that prophetic dream that I had, along or in conjunction with millions of other people in the world. It just intensified. So, what am I going to talk about? Well, I was talking about people in my local community, so I guess I'll go to my notes to talk about the dismissal of laws or disobedience. You say, cool, I own a leather jacket. I bought it for a hand for $30 2 years ago. It is. And was manufactured in 1990. It smells good too. Well, we're not talking about leather coats today. Maybe not today. We're talking about the findings I have accumulated after researching astrology, doing tarot readings, and receiving visions and different messages from the ethereal realm. That's what we're talking about today. So, let's stay focused. So, right now, I'm going to cover this note. Well, I got a little time. And it's about the dismissal of laws, which is what? People being disobedient. So I was talking about the subconscious behaviors, unhealthy practices that I witness in the people in my immediate environment. After witnessing them, I could see my own, flaws, my own subconscious unhealthy behavior and practices. I could see that. So I'm trying to make a change, y'all. I don't know how that's going to go, but at least I'm conscious of it. So, let me finish talking about what I witnessed when I saw these people. It was unhealthy dietary practices, unhealthy routines such as smoking, because everybody's lungs going to be shot to crap. So how can a person, if you're fat, and you don't even have to be physically fat like this fat, that soft fat, you don't have to be fat. You could be thin and seemingly healthy, but if you really have partaken in a bad diet, you still can have like diabetes or I don't know, what they call it, clogged arteries, the smoking. You can have lung disease, inflammation, bronchitis, all these things, and that's what I'm seeing. And I'm looking at, I remember a friend said to me one day, when I did have friends, like, how don't you, Nancy, have these health problems? I was like, well, I don't know. But it's like they was wishing it on me because I smoke cigarettes. And sometimes I chain smoke and sometimes I don't. I tell y'all I take breaks. and I do breathing meditations. I do all kind of crazy, weird things that you wouldn't think a fat black woman from the inner city does, but I do. And so, thank God, I'm so thankful. In my ignorance, I don't have more problems than I actually do. I'm doing pretty good for a 50-something-year-old woman. So, but what I'm saying is, and I share this because these habits that are being perpetuated in my community are lowering the people's way of health, physically and mentally. So how can we defend ourselves against the system that is out to get us? And now, mind you, when I say a system that's out to get us, I'm talking about the physical worldly system, but I'm talking about the ones that have the powers, the actual ethereal beings, the gods that have put them up to do it. A little weird talking, honestly. So, anyway, right now, I'm talking about the dismissal of laws or our disobedience. We were bamboozled. Who was bamboozled? The people that create humanity have been bamboozled for hundreds of years. I don't know about thousands of years, but based on what I know about history, we have been bamboozled for hundreds of years. And because we've been bamboozled, fooled, miseducated, we have broke every divine law, including dietary laws, or how we care for our physical vessel laws. You know, we've talked about different universal laws and natural laws, and then there's the laws of man. We done talked about all that on my channel. So anyway, over the last couple of live streams that I did where I shared the visions, the main one was especially that I have had, I talked about these death traps that have been erected over hundreds of years that are soon to all be activated. And so what am I talking about now? I'm talking about our disobedience, and our disobedience as a mean to erecting these various death traps that the ethereal beings introduced to us in the form of technology, or the various advancements in technology. I'm going to try to give you one example out of so many to try to make it make sense. There have been many, many technological advancements in agriculture, in the food industry. Everything from, what they call it, cross-pollination, or what they call it when they do mess with the DNA of the plants and different things like that. Well, I said cross-pollination, DNA splicing, what else? What did they add to the seeds to create larger, genetically modifying different vegetables like corn? They say corn was little, like the little Chinese corns was little. Now we got these big ears of corn. All of these were, I gotta come up with a term. It was I call it a thin line. Yes, these advancements in technology that helped us create more food or abundance of food in order to make sure that we could feed the masses throughout the history of humanity was a blessing. It's like Pandora's box, the gifts in Pandora's box. But if misused, or once misused, is a curse. It's a curse. And therefore it triggers a death trap. Hopefully I'm making this make sense. So I don't want to keep going over into that. I'm going to leave it alone. Because I want to talk about how people and humanity have dismissed laws, our disobedience. So I try to explain it. Okay. Now mind you, if you follow me, you already know. When I have notes stacked up for weeks and months, I really don't know what's on the paper.
I have an idea. So all I do is read off of it and improvise along the way to try to explain. This is a research and live research and meditation session. So let's see how it goes. What? Just ride the wave with me if you will. I'm trying to go somewhere with it. It might take a few videos. Anywho, I have written here. The fall of current and future potential witches and warlocks. Boom. Let me stop right there. I hope y'all can hear me. Can you hear me? Because the fans might be too loud. It's the fall of current and future potential witches and warlocks. Why am I stopping and going to emphasize that statement? It is because those ethereal beings, the gods that gave us the technology, and those that manifest in this physical realm, in a physical form, they had to stop humanity from awakening. That's the term, awakening, or becoming, or excelling and becoming advanced witches and advanced warlocks. I'll try to explain. Another way I often hear this subject being explained is to they dumb down the people who are now what? The sheep. They dumb us down. And they dumbed us down. Some of the ways is what? Us not following the law of the dietary laws. If you sick, you can't focus. If you're hurting, you can't focus. If you're eating bad or you can't breathe, you can't think. So that was a method or a tactic used to dumb us down intentionally. Okay? Because, let me try to explain. Okay, meditation. I go through. If humanity were to continue to evolve, our intellect would soar. Our consciousness and awareness would increase exponentially. I have a problem with that word. And with a higher state of consciousness and awareness, you can see the setup of, or the potential technology or various advances in technology offer. You see the benefits. And you also could see the potential for it to be a curse or a death trap. And so you make your decisions about the creation of and the sustaining of and the execution of the various advances in technology based on your awareness. That to say, another way to say it, hey, is it going to help humanity? Yeah, it is. But we can't go past this line because these are the rules or the boundaries that apply here. If we go past this line, then it becomes a death trap. Okay? So, let me see. Oh, it's so dramatic, I feel. Right? Away with me. So, they had to stop humanity from evolving. They had to stop humanity's, the people that create humanity, from becoming advanced witches and warlocks, having a certain level of consciousness and awareness in order to comprehend what technology would do to us in the end. They had to. They had to dumb us down. Because, see, these entities, these gods I'm talking about, they feast on humanity. I've heard people say, hey, it's some entities that eat us. It's some entities that feed on our energy. Oh, them visions I hate. My subconscious mind is actively projecting everything I've learned, or them with some real, true, live visions showing me some stuff. And what I saw is this ethereal being, this God, eating humanity. Now, there's some things that I'm still working through, because I had the sense while I was having the vision that this ethereal being, this God, was the God of our Bible. I swear to goodness, it was the God of the absolute. Now, I'm just sharing this. I haven't fully digested this, and it bothers me if it is the case. But if that God that I saw was the absolute God, the supreme God, the God of our Bible, the God of the upper world, then it is not bad, and neither is it good. That God, that ethereal being, and its kind is the one that gifted humanity with the advancements in technology. And it was known at one point in time that, hey, all of these advancements have rules, regulations, and policies that you must follow. And it's good to you. It'll bring paradise to you, humanity. Throughout the whole history of your existence, it'll bring paradise to you. You know, you'll have long life and die easy. It's the same God. But if you break any of the rules, if you don't follow the rules, then I'm not responsible for what happened. This is what this ethereal God kind of saying. But what you will do is you will cause an adverse effect, and you will have to live out the residual effects. And during that time, I get to consume you. That's the price. So back to my notes. So I tried to explain how and why there had to be a fall of current and future witches and warlocks. Let's see what else these notes say. It says people are failing to cultivate their ability or powers to learn, to comprehend, and execute the content within any branch of knowledge for the purpose of manipulating reality in ways that enhance humanity's existence. Ain't that something? I tell y'all, when I've been doing all this research and sharing what I find here on YouTube, when I was led to do it category by category, I like I said, I followed the rules, I listened, and I applied what I found, what I come to know. I did a lot of research. And what I told y'all, everything was absolutely truthful and in a timely manner and in a timeline that I was told to do so. But I didn't understand, I guess, like the bigger picture, I can say. I talked about on my channel the various branches of knowledge. I talked about the intellect and the IQ. And I'm like, okay, that's what the stars told me a person should be focusing on. That's what the voices out here told me I was supposed to be focusing on. And so I did. And I delivered the message to the best of my ability. But I didn't know what I was really talking about. I didn't understand the bigger picture. That's how everything fits together. But I see now. It is our responsibility, every individual that creates humanity at any given time, to be knowledgeable. It's like what they say, if you don't work, you don't eat. Everybody's supposed to be able to contribute, even an autistic person. There is something that you can do. There's something that you can master. And whatever you master, on whatever level, is supposed to benefit humanity existence here. Anything outside of that breaks the rules. We've been led to break the rules for hundreds and hundreds of years. Okay, I'm going on. So, reading my notes, because I don't know what's on them. Been a while. These real old. It says, the powers have successfully capped the emergence of, the coming of,
witches, wizards, and warlocks. They capped it. They made sure humanity did not evolve to what their higher self or their more conscious self or their most awakened self. And therefore their more productive self. Okay. Examples are knowledge of law. These are just different branches a person can become knowledgeable in. We got the branches of law, chemistry. What could that do for you? You know? What could it do for somebody in your family? What could it do for another person in humanity? A matter of fact, what could being knowledgeable and masterful in the branches of law, chemistry, anatomy, medicine, philosophy and logic, or dietary, you know, what could it do for you when standing up and having to confront and regulate the powers in the world? You know, have you ever gone to court before and you hear all of the court staffers, the judge, the stenographer, the sheriffs, the attorneys talking? And they talk in a language and it seems like it's a foreign language. You know they talk in English, but it's the terminology, it's how they construct their sentences and refer to things. It be flying right over your head. Your heart beating fast, like, Lord, they're going to make me pay, or I'm going to jail. Because you can't respond if you don't understand what's being said. If you don't understand that particular branch, talking about law as an example, you know I like to use law, is, you know, it has its own vocabulary, language, terminology, etc., etc. And if you can't jump up being a master and ride that wave, you get left almost cussed out. You go to jail and you pay like you weigh. And if you ain't big enough, they gonna make you pay like somebody else weigh until they are satisfied. That same dynamic exists in the medical field. Doctors talking, throwing different languages and medications and I don't know what it's called, this and that over your head. You don't know. You don't know. Based on what I have learned, it is each individual that creates humanity at any given time to be knowledgeable in some area, multiple areas. What was that man? Was it Michael Jordan? Was playing golf, tennis, and basketball? Knowledgeable in at least one area. And you know, if you're capable, more. Why? Because it levels the playing field when you're dealing with the material entities that manifest here on this earth. They can't talk over your head. You can control them because you know exactly what they're talking about. And if they don't want to do it right, you can easily replace them. And if you don't feel that there's someone to replace them, you can step in and take their place. Just that easy. When I was doing a research some years ago, it said the powers is looking at humanity, the people that create humanity is real dumb. That their intelligence is real low. They like near morons. I was like, you know, don't get mad at the messenger. That's what the stars said. So, and another thing is, if we are all, or were, or become knowledgeable, you know, in relationship to at least one branch of knowledge, then when it comes to that ultimate ethereal being God I'm telling you about, we're more intellectual. We become more aware, more conscious. We're able to ride the intellectual wave quite similar to itself, and we would understand what was being asked of us. We could never have been bamboozled and manipulated into setting death traps that will end in our demise. So, anyway. So, it says, okay, so since you don't want to get knowledgeable, you know, you will be set back into the dark ages. Starting, because that's where our consciousness is. We're going to be set back. Our consciousness is going to be set back in the dark ages relative to where technology will be. And it is. It is. Let me try to explain. Does anybody right here, right now, or viewing later, know exactly how the internet works. Where is it housed at? Where does it get its energy from? You know? If you don't, you're in the dark ages. Why technology is futuristic. So, it promises that. Because of our hello. Hey. Rice, bouillons, and a case of water. Yep, and I'm live. So sit it on my porch. Bye. I apologize. I'm prepping. I still prepping. I've been prepping for years. What do they call it? Posted some of the videos I made from 2017, 16 about preparing and prepping. Matter of fact, I just put one out that I made in 2019, January 2019, and I wrote on the post and said, hey, have we forgotten, look at me, freezing, have we forgotten about the government shutdown of late 2018, early 2019? Did we forget? It seems like humanity has been taking one hit after the other, of people in the United States anyway. One hit after the other. End of 2018, early 2019 was a government shutdown. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was a government shutdown a year before or something like that, either 2 or the year prior to that. Then we know what happened in 2020. So it's been back to back. This is a plan. You know, all this is going on this plan. Anyway, let me go through, because I can tell they on me. So anyway, if you want to liberate yourself, if we want to liberate ourselves, if we don't want to be consumed by these gods, then the thing is to increase our intellect. We were made to be intelligent beings. We have the capacity. We have been capped. It's intentional. I talked about it. Okay. The next thing I got here on this old set of notes is artificial intelligence governs thoughts and perceptions. Another thing, and yes, I'm talking about the dismissal of laws and what's happening because we dismiss laws. So we're left susceptible to the advancements in technology that have exceeded our comprehension level. Hope that makes sense. So we have artificial intelligence governing our thoughts and our perceptions. Makes you feel some type of way when you see posts on Facebook or YouTube or some social media platform. You make you feel some way. It make you react. It make you respond. Why? Because we are allowing artificial intelligence and technology to govern our thoughts, how we think, what we think about. All we think about now is the vid and the vax and the did. It never stops. And it's about to reset again and start again. I can't take it. That's all we think about now. Why aren't we thinking about if there's the same thing we could have did in the beginning. Give everybody, since y'all giving out all this stuff, a distribution to everybody to make sure that they got 2 weeks worth of food and confine everybody home for 2 weeks. The only time a person come out is for a medical reason. No liquor stores, no nothing. It should be open. And in 2 weeks' time, it's gone. It will be tough. I know it'll be tough. But I think it's easier and more contained than taking the route that we're headed on, which is going to, what I saw the other day, is in 7 years, we are going to be 7 years, 2028, we are going to have a loss of individualistic identity. We're going to lose ourselves into our immediate environment. Let me try to explain. I'm jumping. I know. Just ride the wave with me. I'm going somewhere. Even if I don't finish doing this live, I'm coming back because I'm doing research and meditation. It's going to end up pouring into what? An Aquarius rant. So we're going to end up just seeing how long it takes for me to finish this meditation. So in 7 years, 2028, I might have said it wrong, 2028, the bulk of people that create humanity at that time, mindset, mind frame, mentality will have blurred out the individual because of, how can I say it? You know how you live in a community, a neighborhood, an environment, people that you frequent. We all gonna have shared concerns. What's the shared concern? You know, right now, again, how can I say, shared concerns. We're gonna lose ourselves. Could you imagine not being an individual anymore, walking out with joy and pride in who you are, expressing your personal fabulous self-expression because you weighed down, your heart heavy, because you got some shared concerns? Shared concerns, example of how it looks in our reality now, is like people that are in third world countries, living in certain tribal areas or regions, not having enough water or clean water. They have shared concerns. Every day, everybody in that community, neighborhood, tribe, wake up worried about if they're going to eat or have something to drink, and if they drink, is they going to die from diarrhea? Shared concerns. That's what is going to be broadly present come 2028. I'm going to let that go. Come back to our disobedience. So, what do I have here? I was talking about artificial intelligence governing our thoughts and perception. Once again, humanity becomes enslaved. Enslaved, not free. Whatever this place is, this self-contained ecosystem, and I say it like that because I've been coined it. I'm dramatic, I know. We were made to be free. We had an option to be free. At any time, we can free ourselves. We can free ourselves from the webs that bind us. But we have been lowered, truly lowered. Our state of consciousness, our sense of self-worth. We're priceless. We are really priceless. Has been lowered after generations and generations of abuse and manipulation from the ethereal beings as well as between ourselves. We were meant to be very intelligent beings. We were meant to be individualistically fabulous. We were meant to be. Anyway, now our thoughts and perceptions are being governed by artificial intelligence and technology. Technology has exceeded our comprehension level, and so therefore we are enslaved, and increasingly getting more enslaved. So, and when I talk about perception, I've talked about perception before, and perspective, and how the powers are using our perception and perspective against us. I did a video on that whole live stream. Didn't know I was talking about, not the bigger picture. But the perception right now that's being manipulated by the powers is how we feel about each other. We are communal, I think, beings, I think it's called, where you got to commune, interact, engage. It is a part of who we are and what we are. It keeps us healthy. It keeps us well. It helps us work together to sustain our lives in this crazy self-contained ecosystem, that has its potential to be hazardous. We need each other. Bottom line, we need each other. And currently the powers, and they have been doing it for at least a year, chiseling away at our perception of each other. I've done multiple videos on the topic of dividing society. Again, when I was doing it and following the rules, I didn't know what I was saying. I didn't understand the bigger picture, but I see it now. During the government shutdown of 2019, they were dividing society. When the political stuff, dividing society, the vid and the vax, dividing society. They have some that have the vac and maybe super spreaders of the D, dividing society. I was like, what if, personally, I was like, what if my grandbaby, or one of my, my grandbaby gets the V, the vac, I'm still love him, so I'm gonna be in harm's way. And I share that because it's divided. That's how close, how intricate the divisive measure is. How deep it is that even a grandmother would second guess if they gonna love on their grandbaby. That's our perception. Some people are perceiving that those that take the vac are foolish, trapped in the matrix. That's a perception, judgment. Others are saying, hey, if you don't take the vac, then you foolish and you're jeopardizing everybody. That's the perception, But this is what I shared before when it came to the V and the vax and all that kind of stuff and all the variants, is that all they were looking for at first, at least they claimed, was herd immunity. We talked about that. Even before it became popular, we talked about reaching herd immunity when it comes to a vax. That's all they need. So why are they now concerned with the portion of the population that don't want to get the vax? Is it not up to each individual how they live their life in or die? Is it not? That's only 30%. And not everybody will reach a demise without it. But as you can see, it's an agenda. And they keep on pushing and pushing and pushing the vac. Period. I'm going to let it go because I know they're going to shut me down, as they always have. Anyway, the next thing I got here on these old notes is natural law and man-made laws, dismissal of natural order and divine laws, which we're talking about. Okay, what else I got here? Now, what is happening because we dismissed these laws and because we have been disobedient, we are now at a place, a state of mind and consciousness, people that create humanity at this time, of self-hatred now projected outwardly, projected into the world. You really hate yourself. You hate yourself because you won't stand up for what's right. I do believe that each of us know to some extent that we are responsible for the state of this world. We're responsible not only for ourselves, our family, we're responsible for the people on the other side of the world. We're responsible for the rest of this ecosystem. Self-hatred. You may very well hate yourself because you're going to work and upholding a construct that you really don't believe in, but your back against the wall. Your back is against the wall. My back is against the wall. But we won't stand up. So what? Self-hatred is being projectedly outward to the world. And because of that, I talked about death walking. I talked about that ethereal being that God is death. Except the death comes. That's the death. And even before I seen that ethereal God in his most recent visions, several months ago, I was having visions. Like I told you, I kept having them, kept coming, imposing themselves, and I'm pushing them back. Like, don't be crazy right now, Nancy. Don't be crazy right now. But some of them did see it. And what I saw was death. I saw death walking. I saw death walking. I saw it. And I've seen it on a broad scale. I've seen it close and personal. I seen death walking. I seen death swinging its sickle. I seen it. And I'm over here by myself, because don't nobody be in my little crazy, insane world, praying and asking for forgiveness, because, oh my God, I see death walking. Just walking and swinging in the darkness that I saw. So, death swings a sickle like a pendulum, released by the devaluing and disregard for life. Say, this God, now let me tell you about this God, this ethereal being that can see himself. I don't want to see it as scary, not scary, it's just that the presence is overwhelming. So, remember this God in its title says, hey, humanity, I got you. I can give you all technology that you need to help you facilitate your existence, make life easy, allow you to strive, and even live long and die easy. But you gotta follow these rules. If you fail to follow the rules, then I'm not responsible for what's gonna happen, but I'm telling you, you're gonna trigger the adverse effect. And one of the adverse effects is you start setting up death traps everywhere. All that technology becomes death traps. So, death swinging is sick. We know on a subconscious level in our souls, we know that we ain't did right. I think one of the things that we're confronted with processing is that we don't really know how we did wrong. We don't know. I don't think for centuries people knew how they did wrong, how they were manipulated psychologically, emotionally, morally, manipulated to break these divine and natural laws that allows us to what? Live harmoniously. We don't know. We're not clear. We've been overwhelmed with trying to survive this realm, getting the technology, getting some free time, and then be made to work 40, 50, 60 hours for an establishment, trying to take care of our families. Then we became dope fiends and alcoholics and hoes and pimps and prostitutes, and we was absorbed in our ego. We popping bottles and wearing red bottoms. We got lost to the point we could not see. We couldn't see how, we were wrong, how we were doing wrong. So, remember, because we broke the laws, we triggered death traps, and we released death. Another way is because we got to the point that we felt so bad about ourselves on a subconscious level, self-hatred, and projecting it out into the world. We start devaluing life. We had a disregard of respect for life, for existence. Totally. And that's what's being perpetuated in the world. So when we see those banners like, what's wrong with people today? That's what is going on. We have disregard and devalued life. And because of that, death is swinging its sickle. Listen, there is no love. The Bible, I'm not a religious person, but I was in a church some years ago. I told y'all I was a Christian, Baptist, Capitalist, Buddhist, whatever, And one of the things that the Bible said, the King James Version, or something like it, is that in these final days there will be no love. And so this is also come up. Let me see what the notes say. No love. There is ego battles over possessions, money, attention and time, power and prestige, self over another or others. Breaking what? The rules. The natural laws given to us by that God. Bro. But we were manipulated into it. We were. We were even manipulated into being morons. We were. But now we know. This time period right here, the age of Aquarius, is the time that we finally get to know. It's information going everywhere. All we got to do is be able to decipher it. It's so much information, that's the problem. But all we got to do is be able to decipher. What we hear over here, Can Angels Fly, Tarot, and more, we're deciphering it. We're getting the messages. We're looking at it, every single clue there is. Whether it's religious history, physical worldly history, as everybody say, your history, through tarot, and reading astrology. We're looking at it all. We are looking at it all. And this is what it's saying. It's saying, hey, this is the time you will know. So, what else? It says, how vain each person is. You are self-destructive. Now, that's crazy. That's kind of contradictory. What's kind of contradictory? It's saying, hey, you got so much self-hate that was really happening out in the world. And you see, what's wrong with people is you're projecting it out into the world. That's self-hatred. But it says, each of you, each of us, each individual that creates humanity, especially at this time, are so almost us vain that you're self-destructive. Now, these are messages I've been getting. I tell you, my mind is crazy. My subconscious is wild. Or I'm hearing voices. Whatever the case. This is what it's been saying. It said, y'all, you so vain. Each of you are so vain that you are self-destructive. While you're projecting it out into the world, you're actually being self-destructive. That's some deep stuff. I can go into detail about that, but I won't. Because I would like to get a little bit more done. So, the next thing I have is recognize your current events. I think I talked about this a little bit in the previous lives I made. But it said recognize your current events. So I'm going over some of the current events so we can recognize or acknowledge what the messenger was pointing out to me. So it has mass flooding and flash floods, and examples are New York, New Jersey, Michigan, Germany, China, Turkey, that kind of things. And I think India. Okay, it pointed out dams and levees breaking. We know about Hurricane Katrina and different things like that. And I forgot some dam broke somewhere. It says recognize current events. It says, like pointed out to me, it always points out to me, Flint water crisis, contaminated waters. In previous live streams years ago, I talked about going and using the app called Google Earth and zooming in on bodies of water to see that there had a skull and bone, fish skull and bone for poison or contaminated waters that were off what do you call it? Off limits. Why? Because all the waters were contaminated. Any one I zoomed in on had the the skull, the fish bones, and X skulls. So okay. So anyway, it talks about this Flint water crisis. Remember, I did talk about it because when I talked about the Flint water crisis, I was pointing out that there are requisites for this world. I call them prerequisites for this world, existing in this world, and it is to be able to move to pacify your physical, worldly urges, the big urges, like thirst. You cannot exist in this world being thirsty. You can't. Remember, I did a video. I tell you, I don't know what I'll be doing. I just follow the rules. In the rules back then, several years ago, about 3, 4, 5 years ago, maybe even more, it said, hey, Nancy, or whoever studying, astrology, talk to these people about the importance of water and the natural resources. There's been other videos I talked about the natural resources. It says talk about the water supply. I covered all the different type of bodies of water here on this earth. I talked about the potential for contaminating it and why we shouldn't. I talked about how long you could live without drinking water. And what did we discover? Is it 7 days? I don't remember. I guess if I don't remember, as a researcher, y'all don't remember. 7 days, I think it was. That you cannot live without water. You would dehydrate to the point that you die. Okay? So, I bring up the Flint water crisis often because that was, grievous negligence on the people that we put in place to govern over the region and the resources and the distribution of the resources to the people. To the people. That was grievous negligence. Because what? You must satisfy thirst. This self-contained ecosystem creates water. It has water cycles. Self-contained ecosystem, is that self-explanatory? The water stays in the system. The water stays in the system because every living thing here requires water to sustain its existence. And we put it right back, and they give it to us, and we put it right back, just like the trees with the carbon monoxide. Self-contained ecosystem. So, remember, you can't break the rules. We can't break the rules. The people in Flint, as an example, because it's up close and personal, it's real. It's all over social media. It's all over the news. They were, what's my fancy word? Grievous negligence. It was negligent. Because they have jeopardized all of the humans that exist in that region because they refuse to distribute the financial resources, funds, the funds to make sure that that system was clean and functional. Somebody, them people, was so greedy. They wanted to pad their pockets, live their best life, go on their trips, drive their fly cars, wear their red bottoms, live in their big houses, and entertain their guests at the cost of them people's life. Women, children, senior citizens, etc., etc. That was, they broke the law. And I ain't just talking about man-made law. They broke the divine law. This was the law given by this ethereal God I'm talking about. You break the law, you set a death trap. You pay the penalty. I consume you. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's why I always use Flint as an example. I go on. It says, remember, what am I doing right now? I'm talking about, hey, the messages that I got, the voices that I was hearing, said, hey, talk about recognizing the current events so you know what's going on. I have to write this down because I don't know where else it might be written down on the next page, but I don't know. So, anyway, let me finish with my drama. Landslides, like in India. Recognize what's going on in your current events and why it's happening. Sinkholes, even in cities. In my city, I have bypassed several sinkholes. One actually down the main. You know, I live in the inner city. Shit just, excuse me, I didn't make it. Sinking in, falling in. I'm talking about vehicle size potholes falling in. Okay. What was that over there in Florida or something where the salt, they say the salt sea water deteriorated the building and the building collapsed looking like a 911 event? Come on now. All right, going on. Vanishing bodies of water. Remember, a few years ago, they were talking about how waters were just vanishing. Well, of course, there were caverns down in the earth where it was fracking and drilling and stuff, making these deep holes, and the earth will open up and just drink in the water, and science acting like they don't know where it went. It went deeper down into the earth. They know. Anyway, at last known when I could disappearance of a body of water levels dropping significantly was in the Antarctic in June of this year of 2021. Anyway, how about the declining health of the people that create humanity at this time? Why? Because the technological advances that were given to our powers here in this world from that ethereal God have been misused. We talking about, people talk about it all the time, talking about Monsanto's and how they stamp their seeds and it's flying over in the other farmers' yards, and it's all becoming corporate and greed. We need all of the farmers, but people like Monsanto don't want us to have it. Breaking the laws again that this guy has said are established. Follow the laws and you can have paradise in this world. You can live long and die easy, but we broke the laws. Because what? We greedy. We selfish. What it say we was? Where it say we was what? It said we was. Some of these is quotes from the spirits. What did it say we was? I don't know where it was at. Said we was horrible. I know that. I can't find. Oh, how vain each of you are. You are self-destructive. Okay, that's what the Spirit said. Okay. Anyway, so still talking about and finishing up on the current events. It says, okay, I talked about the vanishing body war and the declining health, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, AIDS. Now we got the vid and the D. You know what I'm saying? The declining health. Why is it happening? Well, if you haven't guessed, it's because we've been disobedient. I'm not directly talking to you about every single thing, but a lot of us are and have been disobedient in different sectors of life, especially the people we vote in office to represent us. We vote these people into office so that they can successfully and seamlessly distribute the natural resources to everybody in our region. In order to what? Ensure that we can ward off death so that we can live reasonably and we can die easy. But they are so freaking greedy, and what does they say? In vain, till they broke the laws. And they lead us to break the laws too. Ain't that something? Anyway, the reason why the Spirit wanted me to talk about recognizing occurring events, it was talking about, let me try because I'm kind of decoding the vision as well, is that understand the power of God. And I ain't religious. I told you that ethereal being, the God, is not good nor bad. But it does have an interest in our demise. Because it gets to eat us, consume us, slurp us up, whatever it was doing to our contents. But it gave us the way, again, to live harmoniously. You know, in a heaven-like state. It gave us that. It says, understand the power of your God. That God I'm talking about. That's the same God. It seems to me, and it's shake me up. This is the same God in the Bible. This is the same God of the void. This is the God of the absolute. Same entity. But we don't know it because it's his characters. Oftentimes I've seen people depict like an image of half like God or Christ and the devil. That's it. It is one being. It's one entity. And it say, hey, understand the power of your God. Let me go on. The infrastructures that allowed us to ward off death by what? Being able to divert water to populated areas in order to quench the thirst, one of the prerequisites of existence in this world, to quench the people's thirst, is an infrastructure. We talked about it, the water duct, technologically advances into plumbing, the indoor plumbing, etc., etc. That's an infrastructure. It says, understand the power of your God. Most of our infrastructure, whether it's plumbing, electrical, housing, whatever, all these things, what? Help us ward off death, live a little reasonable, and die off easily. Medications, you know, all these things, these infrastructures are just about 100 years old, a little over 100 years old. Now I'm thinking, I used to always hear when I was in the church that a person, a human being, could live up to 120 years. Now I'm wondering, was it talking about the actual infrastructure? Because our actual infrastructure, I guess we got some buildings 150 years old. I ain't talking about the old ancient Egyptian ruins and stuff. Even though, you know, they didn't survive thousands of years, it's still rubble. You ain't gonna live in them. You ain't gonna keep no wild animals from biting your ass. You know, excuse me, I didn't make it. You know what I'm saying? So, but the actual infrastructure that has been built for the masses has only existed upwards of over a little 100 years. I live in Detroit. I'm watching the plumbing bust everywhere, and I'm not just talking about my house. Right now, we got flooding in Detroit, you know, in Dearborn and the surrounding areas. These houses and buildings were built in the early 1900s. Some of them, even some of them more recently. But due to the shifts in the earth, it's causing flooding. Due to the deterioration of the infrastructure, it's causing flooding. God says, see my power. That technology that I gave you, humanity, I didn't give you all my secrets. I gave you just what you need. Let's see where you take this. And I gave it to you, and it held you up for 100 years. I'm talking about current man. Now, old ancient, what do you call it? Ancient or historical, that's not an antiquated people of the past use aqueducts. And before then, they was going to get pails. And before then, they had to stay right near the water. He said, so the technology that I gave you held you up 100 years. But you broke the law. Why would I give you any more to advance? You know what I'm saying? You're not doing what you're supposed to do. And this God is talking to all of us. Now, those dirty mother suckers that we voted into power, that was so greedy that they didn't do what they were voted in to do. The reason why they didn't do what they were voted in to do is because the masses that voted them in didn't even know what they were supposed to do. We think that they're supposed to make laws for this and laws for that. No, all they're supposed to do is make sure that all the resources are distributed to everybody that exists in a timely manner to sustain life, to make life easier, to allow us to live all right and to die easy. That's all they had to do. When it comes to the making votes about should we build this or not, will it help the people in that region live easy? That's it. Would allow them to live easy, comfortably, reasonably, and die off soft. That's the only answer. That's the only question. But they would make it about any and everything else. Everybody was lost. Everybody broke the law. And so what? We set up death traps. They'll all be activated soon and very soon. So what was I just talking about, being so dramatic about? It's just said, the spirit that was speaking to me said the infrastructure failure, top time, or what they call life, what they call in science, it's called half-life, lifespan. Okay, the infrastructure lifespan is just over 100 years. And we don't have, understand, the reason why we don't think about these things is because we don't have really any point of reference. The way we build housing now and plumbing, it never existed before, at least not that we know of, so we don't know how long it lasts. We find it out now, y'all. We find it out now. You know? But look at them ancient ruins. We don't know just how long those Colosseums and the Parthenons and the Venuses of the Milo were. We have a educated guess, but we also see what they're in shambles. When you go to museums, when you go see the Venus of the Milo, or I don't know, the Michelangelo, or whatever you may go see at an art museum, pay attention. They have, this is what I went to school for. A black woman from the went to be a curator, you know, of an art museum, you know. And I'm talking about this because it was restoration, meaning they take the rubble and they put it together like a puzzle, fill in the gaps, and clean it all up, and it looks beautiful. Add new pieces of marble, it looks beautiful. Don't touch it. Is that not one of the main rules in a museum? Don't touch it. And if you've ever been to the Louvre or anything else, where all the antique type, antiquated works, don't touch it. You can't get nowhere near it. The rope off is so far away, you ain't gonna touch it. Why? Because these things are rubble. They're deteriorating. They have the Mona Lisa in the and other arts, fine arts like that, in airtight glass. Why? Because, you know, things decay. And so they're trying to slow the decay of these things. Why am I talking about this? Because every infrastructure that has ever existed decays. every time, including ours. And that's what the God was saying. He said, hey, recognize my power. I sustained y'all for over 100 years. But now, it's over. Y'all didn't do what y'all was supposed to do. So now we got all of these landslides. Y'all fracked it. I taught you how to frack for a purpose. You were supposed to frack and extract what you need exactly for the mission. But you kept on. And now you frack so much you got barrels of oil stored up somewhere. So, Earth do what she do. She got her vortexes. She gonna get back to work. She's selling herself. She recalibrating herself. She getting back to business. Because that's what not me, that God created her to do. So, as Earth recalibrates herself and Earth starts to readjust and those vortexes get back to business as usual, Earth is slipping and sliding. Half the time we can't feel it. Other times we can. We can feel it and we can see it. And it happens with landslides. And it happens with pitfalls. And it's happening with all of these things we referring to as natural disasters. Earth is reselling herself. See God's power. So what am I saying? What I really want to highlight here is that our infrastructure only lasts a little over 100 years. We really had no way of knowing it or even considering that we needed to be aware of it, and that we didn't have time to be misappropriate funds and be greedy and fight over stuff. If we wanted to keep the easy breeze of life, we had to be good stewards over our money, our funds, our resources. Stay up on the motherfucker. Almost did it. Stay up on. Dang it. Let's take a break, y'all. Yep. Put it on the porch. Oh, shoot. I ain't gonna cuss y'all. I'll be right back. My whole family came here. I ain't done cussing and fussing. I almost turned into Aquarius rant. I'll be back in a minute. I got to go unlock the door. They got the dog barking and I'm going somewhere with this. Just give me a minute. Y'all know I'm coming back. I'm going to be out of breath.
Oh my God. Are you kidding?
All right, y'all, I'm back. Am I back? Did you mess with my stuff? Whew. Oh, there I go. I'm back. Okay. Whew. It is hot. Forgive me for my departure. Whew. And I came upstairs and didn't lose my breath because what? This is my second cigarette of the day. I tell you, I'll be pulling back. I'll be trying. But I am sinful. Breaking the laws. So, let's see. Oh, and then I just refer you to a video I did some time ago. It's called The Icarus Effect. And I published it May 23rd, 2020. And it's called Icarus Effect again. And it's man will not admit his failures. Man will not admit his failures. So you can watch that because, once again, man is failing and our powers refuse to acknowledge their failures. They will not tell the truth about what is really going on. So what else do I want to talk about? I've been on here. How long have I been on here? Give me a minute. An hour and 25 minutes. Said I wasn't making no real long videos no more. I said don't disturb me. Oh, yeah, you can disturb me for that. Thank you for the support. Okay, tell baby come give me some hug and kiss, and then she can get out. That's good grandparenting. So, I talk about loss of identity. I don't think, huh? Oh, okay. Talk about third house shared concerns. One of the videos, I don't think I covered this. I think this is a time period that I was not on YouTube. But I did some interpretation of the stars for mid-June. And it talked about, and I didn't understand. I was just following the rules, doing an interpretation. And it was talking about, as you can see, it's about, I guess, 8 pages. So I'm not going to go through it all. But it was talking about how the people that are bosses would be domineering, forceful, even. I'm like, okay, that ain't important. Okay, the boss gonna be forceful and all that kind of stuff. It didn't make sense to recently to me. And what it was saying, and I got written here, I don't know if you can see it, say, get ready, get ready. I have in the times past talked about an ad or something to some post-apocalyptic movies or something like that, religious movies that say the black pastor be like, get ready. I said, get ready. So that's the line I used a couple times, but here I wrote it on there. Now this is old too. So if this is June, that means I had to do it in May sometime. So it said get ready, and I was like, get ready. The boss is about to be overbearing and controlling, and I didn't get it. Again, I do my work. I follow the rules, but I don't quite understand. I don't see the bigger picture. I see the bigger picture now. What was it talking about in this June report? Come in, Pooh Babe. Oh Lord, do I got to get up and open the door? Go ahead. 2 seconds. Yeah, that's me. Ooh, look at you. It's hot outside. I love your shoes. It is. It's so hot.
All right, come on. Ain't no time to draw. Let's go.
Take her. Get it out. What y'all eating today?
Huh?
What y'all eating?
Soup.
Get that fish out of that refrigerator. It was too big. I didn't like the taste of it.
Huh?
It was too big. I didn't like the taste of it.
What's wrong with it?
It just was too big. When you buy a fish, don't buy it so big. You know. But go ahead. It's
It's
still.
a sport to catch big fish.
Look, I ain't. Just get it. Close the door. Don't even lock it. I'm not coming back. So, that was grandbaby. That's the first grandbaby. So, I had to acknowledge her presence. What the bigger picture was. This grandbaby number 2, y'all. Give me a minute. Hello, Pooh Babe. You call your granny while she left. I thought you was going with them to take. Oh, they didn't? Okay. Can I help? Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm live. Let me see Pooh Babe again. Is it something you need? Because I ain't got nothing. Hi, Pooh Babe. How you feeling? I said, there's something you need. But I ain't got nothing. But you can tell me about it. Pooh Babe. Pooh Babe. How you feel? Don't ignore your granny. Pooh Babe. You abuse your granny. That's not nice. I love you. Wendy call you after the live, okay? Bye bye, boo baby.
Okay, you told me already.
Okay, I'm poking back, baby. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. All right. It's real life. Real life. So, what was I talking about? Oh, the bosses acting out. The bosses calling all the shots. That's what I wrote on the sticky note. The bosses are calling all the shots in June or in May when I did interpretation. Maybe might have been April. These are April. Mother. What? No. I don't like that. No. Thank you. See you, boo baby. Uh-oh. You okay? Kiss her knee. Put your seatbelt on. All right. The bosses are calling all the shots. Didn't see the bigger picture. Now the bigger picture has come crystal clear. As of now, we know our circumstance and situation that continues to unfold at this time, dealing with the V and the vax and the D, that there are bosses or proprietors, I guess is another term, that are requiring and mandating that their employees be vaxxed. The bosses are calling all the shots. Get ready. And what notes do I have here? Just highlighted. It says social hierarchy, power levels. The people are afraid and stuck in a web. Oh, so this was a little important. It talked about, in this particular astrological interpretation, it talked about the masses feeling like a web has been spun around them and they're stuck. And it talked about and gave advice about how to get unstuck or out of the web. It paralleled people to the type of insects that get stuck in a spider's web, such as what we know naturally, nature gets stuck in spider webs. We know flies get stuck in spider webs, and different other bugs get stuck in spider webs. And so I did research, and I looked at it. I was like, okay, after I did the interpretation, not fully understanding the bigger picture, trying to get the bigger picture, I researched. And so I followed a line of thought about spiders, spider webs, and insects getting caught in a spider web. And I end up finding that there are certain animals or insects that can elude a spider's web. And there's certain things that insect or a creature has to do to avoid the spider web or get out of it. So, let me see if I can find that real quick. Yep. Okay. So, what am I talking about right now? I'm talking about how many people at this time are afraid. They're afraid. I did a few videos about it. I did a video called Fear. Why? Because I was instructed to do so, so I did it. And I talked about the fear factor. I talked about how the powers were able to impose or infuse fear upon the masses. It was through the portal of the id. I talked about the id. I talked about what's his name? Not Albert Einstein. Who did that? Sigmund Freud, with the ego, the id, the ego, and the superego. And in that live and with that research, I shared how the id has been made susceptible through the various traumatic events we've experienced and witnessed, both on an individual basis and on a collective basis. Collective, I remember collective. This month, the end of the month, is the collective consciousness is spotlighted. So, the id has been negatively affected
We are afraid. We've been afraid for generations, and the powers have been laying it on thick through various tactics of manipulation until we have a subconscious fear that is governing the way we think, our perspective, our behavior, etc., etc. And so we feel, many of us, can't speak for all, but based on stars, it's saying most of us feel stuck like a spider. Like a fly in a spider's web, stuck and don't know how to get out. And many of us are struggling, trying to figure a way out of this. Out of what? Our current circumstances and situations, everything we're going through, every love triangulation, working, being an essential worker, not working, receiving unemployment, wondering if it's going to end, or it's already in, or you never got it, whatever the case may be. Maybe you just had a baby, maybe you're just getting married, maybe you're supposed to do it. How do you free yourself of the threat of demise when you feel so entangled in it? Well, looking at nature, because I was, let's see, what is it? Let's see. It says I put a quote here, and it's from Row 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 Your Boat. Again, this is old, so I'm just gonna read and try to, clear up what it means, if I can recall. Life is but a dream. That's a quote from what? The song Row 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 Your Boat, or the poem. Life is but a dream. And I have written here, 8 billion people, I'm talking about 8 billion people across the world, are asked to sacrifice to free yourselves. We're asked to sacrifice to free ourselves. Hard to do. When the Spirit said we are vain, self-serving, egotistical, narcissistic, indulgent, breaking all the rules. We are asked, 8 billion people are asked to sacrifice to free themselves. It says, what is this? Social diversity dynamics and demographics. Blacks, your ass is grass. Whites, Chinese, etc. What was that about? It's the racism. It's the sense of feeling superior to another person. We know you have to sacrifice. So it's going to be sacrificing some of your belief systems. Such as what? Racism. Supremacy. Feeling supreme. Feeling entitled. You have to sacrifice these beliefs. Number one, the beliefs are founded on faulty ground. If you want to free yourself, not you, if humanity, if the people that create humanity at this point in time and into the distant future want to free ourselves from the web that we feel entrapped in, where we are afraid and feeling vulnerable and feeling that like we can't pacify our physical, worldly wants, needs, and desires with a primary focus on the requisites, then you're going to have to relinquish your beliefs. You're going to have to let go of your beliefs of supremacy. And it's just all the arguing and bickering that takes place in the world between people and cultures and races. It's stopping. It's talking about the economic stratification, fear, and security equal fake people and false egos. Not saying people of the world. You got to get a grip on yourself. If by chance, I'm going to try this, it's been a long time. If by chance, in the course of your life, you've been granted prosperity, understand, I don't know how this quite went. I think it went something like this. Understand that a lot of the resources, financial in this case, resources overall, have been improperly distributed. I'll give you some examples. Now, if you have manifested into this physical world as a human being,
you had a birthright to possess what you need to help you live a reasonable life, to strive, and to die off easy. However, because our system has been corrupt and participated in corrupt practices, the way the resources should have been distributed to humanity has been disproportionate. I keep using the wrong word. Disproportionate. Now, some people in this world come into money because they it's generational wealth, sometimes handed down, and it's locked in. Other people have acquired money through lawsuits. Other people have money, and this is a great way to do it, is to you acquire your wealth or resources or prosperity because you've been a good steward over your money. You could be part of a bloodline or a family that were great stewards over their money and finances and resources. I mean, you were really responsible. That's the way it's supposed to be. But what I'm saying is not everybody earned their money, their ration. How to say? Their ration is greater than it should be, leaving other people without. An example, I don't know, like in the U.S., most people have a shelf full of food, where in other countries, people don't have food. Why is that? Why is it let's say on the continent of Africa, they got their own system, how they distribute food. They show us people over there starving. Then the United States got their own distribution for food and how you get it. And many of us got food surplus on our shelves. Why is it not just a whole world, of adequate distribution to all? It's like that. I really don't know how to make it make sense. Again, these notes are very old. But it's saying, hey, if you want to free yourself from the web, you got to get a grip on yourself. Your wealth or your prosperity is in your possession due to one of those, variables. Again, whether you got a lawsuit, it was generational, it was this. And it's really not by your own doing, and so you're responsible when you get these resources. Like example, I did Bill Gates and birth chart interpretation of Bill Gates. When you're like a Bill Gates and you get it, then you're responsible for the distribution of resources. None of it is solely Bill Gates. Bill Gates has no business with a large percentage of the livable land. He has no business. If he has it, he's responsible for distributing it to the masses. Or a person has owner of a water company or a water tower. The person has no business having all those resources reserved to themselves and hoarding it. They are responsible for distributing it to the masses. So what it was saying is saying, hey, people, get a grip. Remember, you can't dismiss the power of the ethereal God I'm talking about. It says, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. This is the rules. Now, don't dismiss my power. Don't break the rules, because if you do, you're going to trigger an adverse effect. So it's saying, hey, if you want to free yourself from this web you find yourself in, then you have to realize your prosperity is not your own. And I always say, we hear all these terms and statements and stories. We've heard them. I've heard them my whole life. But I didn't understand the bigger picture of how they fit in until these entities and this God has, spoken to me. And then it, of course, manifests in the physical. I can see the bigger picture on some of this, not all, on some of this. And so it's saying, hey, if you want to break free, you must work together. Remember, I see YouTube is getting tired of me. There is no way that there should be toxic social diversity. No way. get rid of it, to get out this web that has left you vulnerable and in fear. If you want to get out this web that has left you vulnerable and in fear of being consumed, then the economic stratification must cover the needs of everybody. See, we're too selfish to even phantom that as a possibility. But we know it's real because our system was built to do it and has done it, but did it disproportionately. We know it's possible. Next thing, it says them fake people. There's a lot of fake people. Get over yourself. Fake people with false egos are the downfall of society. The fake people. The people that want to continue to wear the red bottoms and buy the Prada purses and I don't know who do what, travel where, rap what, popping bottles. Number one, if I recall, the God was saying, hey, you are, what's the word, terms I use, improperly influencing the masses. So I really see this like stars and the big diamonds and the grill and, you know, the Mercedes, the Lexus, the, what they call it, the Rolls Royce, you know, the Bentley, the Lamborghini, the Maserati, and you know, all the diamonds and this and that. You know, you're improperly influencing people. You're causing them to swell up with desire. That's one. And another thing about the fake people was, what was about the fake people? Oh, don't forget don't try to dismiss your God power. Don't try to dismiss this God's power. Fake people. You live in a fabulous life. You live in your best life, full of ego. You're all puffed up. Remember, God's power is destroying, or we don't understand. Remember I was talking about the infrastructure and how we had no previous point of reference to really refer to know how long our infrastructure would last. Thus far, it seems that our current infrastructure it has lasted, well, we built it, and it lasted a little over 100 years, and it's starting to decay, starting to crumble. So, and Earth is resetting herself. It's saying, so, just like we weren't aware or conscious of the time frame of the technologies associated with our infrastructure, and now it's decaying. It's falling apart in the shambles. You fake people, if you don't get it together and stop improperly influencing people, stop misusing resources, then you don't know the time frame, you know, of, let's say, your prosperity. And the God will, you know, it'll reset because you don't know it. You don't know the consciousness to maintain the prosperity. I don't know how to describe that. I'll try to get back to that another time. And then the last thing I have here relative to coming out is, if we do not, this is a warning, if we, humanity, people that create humanity at this time and then into the future, if we do not loose ourselves from the web, the powers will crush us. The powers are going to crush us. 2028, we no longer have a sense of individualism, but we are a collective glob of concern. Collective glob of concern. And I want to talk about, when it comes to going to nature, I thought it talked about, it may be in on another page. This is what I thought I was going to talk about. It talked about how certain bugs, if they're small enough, number one, it was the persistence. What am I talking about? I'm talking about freeing ourselves from this web. I thought I was going to read the notes that talked about the aspects of nature that allow certain creatures or insects to free themselves from a spider's web. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm trying to go by memory. But it said there's certain, number one, it was always consistency. Not giving up. And not like falling back into what it was or how you think or your philosophies or your mindset. You have to stay persistent. You got to become diligent. That was one thing about the insects or bugs that can free themselves up.
Another thing is that very small bugs tend to fly faster than like flies, and we're able to permeate or miss the grids of the web and fly right through. Another one was, oh man, because it was interesting. Man, freeing yourself from the web. Freeing yourself from the web. It was scary. Serving and slave. Oh. Oh, maybe this is it. Okay. Eight billion people stuck in a web. The more you struggle, the more you resist. The more stuck you become. It's an old saying. It says like quicksand. A fly in a spider's web. Or a mouse in a mousetrap. How to free oneself. A mouse. Oh, yeah. A mouse. It also ended up having me reference a mouse in a trap. Did you know that a mouse is caught in a trap? It is so. If it's dead set on getting itself free, it would chew off its own limb. So how do we get loose from the trap? How do we release ourselves from the spider web? We must understand we have to go to the extent of chewing off our own limbs. And not literally chewing off our limbs, because again, the power said we are morons. So please don't chop off your limb or chew it off or nothing like that. It's talking about you got to do what you got to do. You got to cut off what you got to cut off in order to free yourself from this entrapment that we find ourselves in. That means that this is a time period of having to stand up for yourself. Remember, the powers or the people that we vote into office were put there for one reason. And it was to oversee the distribution of all the natural resources needed to sustain our lives and allow us to ward off death and to live a reasonable life and die off easy. If they're not doing it, we can't just sitting up voting on no foolish stuff. The vote is for things or infrastructure, like the infrastructure bill now, that allow them to do that. That's all that matters. The only thing they should be doing is figuring out what they gonna go out and clean up this contaminated water. What they need to be figuring out is what technological advancements have been made that they done took a step too far to cause contaminations and stop them. But they're not. See, so we have to, as mice, we have to chew off our legs, our limbs, our arms, anything that's stuck. If you're dependent on our system the way it is, we have to free ourselves. But the only way a person can feel safe enough or secure enough to free themselves from this web is that we got to stop having all these fake people and those that not only fake but hoard the natural resources, the finances. It's not yours. And the God said, don't dismiss my power. To them type, don't dismiss my power. It's interesting. There were rules, but we didn't know the rules. I understand mega stars didn't know the rules. They looking at the powers as the all in all, the be all, the shot callers. The ones to answer to. Now this God, remember, is not good or bad. It does have an interest in our demise because it gets to consume us. But it does give us the technology and all that rules that we need to abide by in order to live a long life. To make sure that we live our best lives, strive, and then die off easy. But if we don't follow the rules, underestimates its power, it will trigger an adverse effect, in which permits this God and his kind to consume us. So, anyway, I just saw a note here, and I want to read it. what does it say? Based on an individual's social position and standard determines their senses of worth and personal power. That's the bosses in their actual ability to impact or change or determine the state of the future and all the reality. It says no. There are a lot of fake people with fake false egos, and these people, some workers, are afraid and very dangerous. When it really started talking about fake people, we're talking about really materialistic people, especially really materialistic people. It's saying at this time, now this was an interpretation for June's astrology. I probably did it April or May. It's saying those people that are really still stuck in materialism are extremely dangerous. Remember, there are many death traps. And because our system has led many people to be materialistic and having a sense of self-entitlement, that at this time they feel so threatened, and they are so afraid to stand up against the powers, to chew off their own legs or limbs, that they are very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. It said, I've written here, or it said, and afraid. They are the people that's afraid. You know, you say you don't back certain things like a possum or something into a corner, because when they get afraid, they'll strike out at you. Okay. Okay. Now, how long I've been on here? I hate to break a video up when I, riding a wave and I feel okay. Yeah. Gosh. But the long ones never get any views, so I won't get views at least. But I'm doing foolishly. Still partying. Over the last few months, still partying. I have, kept recalling certain Bible verses out of nowhere. I'll tell y'all, I did tell y'all some years ago, I said I ain't even touched the Bible in years. I haven't. But since I started really studying since 2016, because of the prophetic message that me and many millions of others in the world received, I've been decoding the stars and stuff, and all the type of different messages flowing everywhere. I was like, I got to go back to the Bible, because that's what it said in the Bible. It says something like this in the Bible. And so over the last few months, the same thing has continued to happen. And so right now, I'm going to talk about some of the Bible verses that I've recalled, just based on the information I've received, even including the visions I've been having. One Bible scripture is, it talks about in the final days. I didn't pull up the scriptures, so I'm just talking about what I remember them saying. One Bible scripture talked about in the final days what the people will be doing, what they will be practicing. They'll be marrying and drinking and partying and celebrating. That was one. And the reason that scripture came up is because of an interpretation I did, astrological interpretation I did, that covered early July. Now, we in August, I know this. I just ain't been on YouTube. Covered early July. And it says, are you fooling yourself? Are you fooling yourself? So what is it talking about? Remember, we have been improperly influenced. We have been misled. Some people are consumed with materialism. Some people are consumed just with the physical world and see no spirit. Don't hear from spirit, nothing. Some people are wrapped in a cloud from narcotics or smoking weed or whatever, just in the clouds. They head in the clouds. They're trying to escape reality. Are you fooling yourself? And these are the people, this is what July pointed to and talked about. I might need to read those to see what other messages it had. But these are the people that at this time that we're supposed to be alert, aware, awakening, proactive, deciding if we're going to be led to hell or if we're going to fight to be liberated. That there are many people that are still asleep or sheeple or just got their heads in a cloud. Are you really fooling yourself? Are you really fooling yourself? And so when it started talking about this group of people out of humanity, this sector of people, and it's no particular race, creed, culture, it's just
people picked out of humanity that practice escapism. You know, it's saying, are you really fooling yourself? You think all of this is going to go away because you always shopping, or you can still shop. You constantly eat and be gluttonous, or because you promiscuous and you always partying or drinking. Do you think this is really going away? Do you really think so? You know, what is it? What could be? I'm going to read this because I know this had more to say, and I'm not going to go read it all. So I'm just going to read right now, just read some notes to see if it trigger my thoughts. A battle between the mind and imagination in dealing with reality of the moment. What is it? What could it be? What perception matters? Okay, so yeah, what perception matters? I remember it was about, again, it's this battle between the mind and the imagination. Some people in the imaginary world, or again, heads in the clouds, trying to dismiss or ignore reality. And it talks about, what is it? What is our true, hardcore, physical reality that some folks don't want to look at? And then what could it possibly be? We were talking about the perfect case scenario and the worst case scenario. What it could be from where we are here. Quantum computing. Okay. And it says, what perception matters? Does it matter? That was the question. Does it matter? If you have this perception of escapism, does it matter? You know? Does it matter if you are actively involved and engaged and really accepting reality for what it is? Does it matter? I'm not answering these questions. I'm just posing the questions that the astrological energies pose. You know, does it matter what ends up manifesting in the future? Does it matter? Does it care? Do you care? Do you realize, based on your true perception right here, right now, let's say if you are an escapist, that there's going to be a relative or corresponding reality that manifests if you ignore it? You know, does it matter? And then if you are diligently active and involved and alert, living in the now, does it matter? Because understand, there is a relative or corresponding future that's going to manifest if you are. You know, does it matter? So, what else it says? Defining oneself, manifestation abilities, use what you got to get what you want. What's that about? Breaking through the limitations. Use what you got to get what you want. You know, so it's about, what do we want? I think I mentioned that later this month, which is August, like August 22nd or something, I think the sun is going to be 29 degrees of Leo. And it really, is the sun 29 degrees of Leo, something like that. Yeah. And we're talking about the sum of the collective consciousness. And I do believe that 29th degree of Leo talks about and points back to the id. Remember the Sigmund Freud, the ego, the id, the superego stuff, and how it's been wounded from the traumas that we've experienced and witnessed, and you know how we may feel vulnerable and fearful at this time, feeling caught in a web, all of that. The collective conscious. You know how everybody summed up feels. Okay. You got to use what you got to get what you want. Some people can look at reality and accept it, and some can't. So let's talk about those. If you're a person that can't deal with reality, that's what you got. You can't deal with reality. That means you can't think, you can't plan, you can't be conscious, you can't raise your comprehension, your consciousness, you can't be proactive in what? Creating the future. You are, what's the term? Basically, you've succumbed to whatever the powers want. That'll be the future. But if you are a person that is present in the moment, dealing with reality, that's what you got. You are aware. Your comprehension has increased. Your awareness is, you know,
broader, those kind of things, then you can use that. You can use what you are knowledgeable in or expert about. We talked about it in the sense of if you know how to fix cars, if you know how to plant gardens, if you know how to jar, you can be proactive. You can use everything you got to get what you want. And what is it that you may want? You may want a bigger and brighter future, a future that allows you and those that come after you to live a reasonable life, to strive and to die off easy. That may be what you want. You may not want to continue to dismiss the laws that are so blasphemous to God. You may not want to do that. So, because you realize now, because remember in the past we've been miseducated, we've been improperly influenced. We did not know that we were insulting God. We didn't know that. We didn't even get the comprehension and the understand. We always think if you rob, if you steal, you kill, you destroy, you insulting God. So if you ain't murdered nobody, red rum nobody, you ain't did nothing to God. If you only told a little white lie, you ain't did nothing to God. See, we never knew that misusing technology or not following the rules to the point was disrespecting God or insulting Him. We didn't know. We really didn't know. We, like me, I was born into a family and I was taught to eat greens and macaroni and cheese and sweet potato pies. That's what I cooked. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know I was, breaking the rules and, insulting God. I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people didn't know. We didn't know smoking cigarettes was disrespecting God. We didn't know, that the powers, we think we go out and vote. I'm trying to make this make sense. We go out and vote. We think we're doing right. And if the system was not corrupt, it would be fine. But we didn't know that we are voting for people that are, again, greedy, selfish, vain, failing to distribute the resources in a timely manner to everybody so they can ward off death, sustain their life, strive, and die off easy. Live a reasonable life and die off easy. We didn't know that. That's what is disrespectful to this God. And it's causing His hand to move upon this earth and humanity. We had no idea, even though we hear about them fracking and pulling stuff off. We got some groups to save the whales and complain about creating clones and stuff with sheep and stuff. No, it wasn't just for a little group or organization to say, no, don't do it. And for us to look on the news like, no, they shouldn't be doing it. No, we was all supposed to move on. We all had the responsibility to move on, to make sure that they did not do it. Now, I'm not even going to say these people on the lower levels that we voted into office are consciously aware of the things that I'm talking about. I do believe people like Queen Elizabeth, I did her birth chart interpretation, it lets me know that she is not completely human, and she is under the authority of this God that I'm speaking of, this ethereal being that I spoke of in this live stream and the last two live streams. I'm afraid, I'm going to tell y'all, I know I'm all over the place. This is becoming somewhat of a Aquarius rambling rant. It is a meditation. I'm verbally sharing my meditation and how I process the information, especially when I've accumulated so much. But that entity, the other day, last week, I think it was, when I ate the peyote pie, and it revealed itself to me. I can't say the entity was ugly. I got history in art. I'm not the greatest sketcher or drawer, but I'm okay. But I could not right now go get my art equipment and sit here and sketch an image of it. I just remember it was big. It was eerie. It was eerie. That's what I can say. It was eerie to the point of being scared. And maybe it's because the scene I saw it in. Now, I know I'm all over the place. Maybe had I been up close and personal on an intimate level in a scene of paradise, I would have been more relaxed. Maybe
I'm shaking because of the scene that I saw it in. That's when I told y'all about the grids or the plots and see, that's the scene with Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and who else was there, and the survivalist and but it was a scene that I encountered it in, and I understood its power. And I understood that it wasn't bad nor good. It just was what it was. It was really like shaking. I'm still shaking from it because I understood that this God like staying back when you follow the rules. It's staying back. But when you don't, what I say, you got an interest in our lives. How to consume you. And it was that. And then like when it gets to consume us, or as we erect those death traps is other of his species, but doesn't have all its power. I don't know if y'all know about Yaldabaoth. I have talked about Yaldabaoth, who's supposed to be the god of this world, and creator of this world and humans. It reminds me when reading the what they call the Apocryphon. I want to say it's the Apocryphon of John. That Yaldabaoth, this god, maybe it's Yaldabaoth that I saw. I don't know. And Yaldabaoth has many minions. And it's like, I think if I recall, it's been a long time since I read it. Like 365, like the days of the year, minions. It was more than that though. But that was part of it. Anyway, all of his minions, his species, he created, maybe that's who I saw or what I saw, because it was masculine. I don't know. Let's stop. Let it go. You say, this is your last. If you don't stop practicing witchcraft, I will wage spiritual wars offensively against all your devils and yourself by mightiest name, God, Yahshua. Pray, amen. That's right. Share the truth. So, I go on. And anywho, so, sustain your personal power. It's about sustaining your personal power. It's telling us to stay in control. Wanting to maintain clarity and control. If you want to maintain clarity and control, meaning being consciously aware and active and present, then you have to stay in your personal power. How do you come out of your personal power? Examples are being an escapist, indulging in drugs, alcohol, just preoccupied with, trying to block things out, block our reality out. And wanting that which does not reflect you, wanting what you don't. And it says that don't want what does not resonate with you. Like, for instance, if you are an escapist, you can't want, you shouldn't even want or expect to manifest what don't resonate with you. Having that more of a utopia-like experience in the future, being able to maintain your personal power, don't go with that state of mind and consciousness and practices. So it's saying, you don't resonate with that. You don't align with that. Don't expect something that you are not. It says stay open to information and knowledge and what is the truth and the truth. It was something about this. Escaping responsibility and demands. There's so many people trying to escape responsibility and demands. We all have an equal responsibility in the wellness, well-being of our existence and our experience here in the world. But it's saying so many people want to not say, are you fooling yourself? So it's, in short, I had to read that to understand again. This was real old, really old. I don't know. It's been a couple of months since I did some of these things. But it was saying, okay, you wishing, you feel vulnerable, you're afraid,
A lot of people are practicing escapism, and you claim that you want to be free. You claim that you want to have a reasonable life. You claim that you want your pre-kids and your grandkids to have a reasonable life, you know, but you're not acting like it. And say, don't expect nothing. Hi, Alicia, how are you? That you ain't worthy of. That doesn't represent you. And what you willing to fight for. You know, so want to escape responsibility. I'm trying to hurry up. Let's see. I was talking about some of the scriptures that came to my mind over the last few months. Now, I talked about the scripture. It's saying in the end times they're going to be marrying and carrying on and singing and partying and dancing and doing whatever. Okay? Oh, yeah. Okay. The current state of consciousness. Current state of consciousness. Oh, no, I got to do this. Okay. Current state of consciousness. Current state of consciousness. What am I talking about? Now this, oh my God, I don't know. This might have been really early on. So we're talking about a few months of meditation and all that kind of stuff. This is not from astrology or anything. This is me hearing voices, hearing the messages. It says, I'm okay, not bad. What's the read about and scripts about? What's a read church? I'm confused. And the scripture about, well, what I'm talking about right now, I'm just doing a live research and meditation, allowing everybody to participate or to, come up to speed where I am based on my studies and my findings. I'm talking about the visions that I've had, the voices that I hear, or the messages that I receive. I'm talking about tarot. I'm talking about the astrological interpretations that I've come up with. Research. I never would have guessed. Typo. And so I'm talking about all of that. And I'm talking about what will tomorrow bring. What will tomorrow bring? Based on my research, it seems to me that tomorrow is not fully etched in stone. So I'm getting so far. It's not fully etched in stone. That we have the right, now that we are awakening and we're becoming knowledgeable, and we now are coming to understand that there are rules, regulations that we were to follow. Otherwise, we set up death traps. I'm talking about spiritual stuff that manifests in the physical, that we can change. It's still not too late. It's a tight crunch. It's saying that, based on my research, we basically got to chew off our limb like a mouse caught in a trap. Or we got to be kind of cunning or clever or dynamically adequate to evade the spider web, or to free ourselves from the spider web that we find ourselves stuck in, feeling vulnerable and afraid. And so there are various tactics that the messages are saying we can execute on a collective level. And this is the thing. It's talking about 8 billion people. Now, before all this vac and vid and D stuff, I couldn't see a calling on 8 million people. But there are it's a calling or a move on 8 billion people. So, okay, God is saying 8 billion people, you got to free yourselves. You got to sacrifice. If you're afraid, I understand you're afraid. Do what you got to do. If you got the resources, you know what you're supposed to do. Do what you got to do. And God has always dealt with me about resources. That's all I cuss about. He always tell me, Nancy, you only got 2 legs. You're going to wear 1 pair of pants. Maybe 2 if it's winter. But you know what I'm saying? You're going to wear 1 pair of pants. You're going to put 1 leg in at a time. You're going to stand on 1 square in this world. Basically, what he is always showing me was like, hey, you only need so much. Even to live your best life, you only need so much. Even if you got red bottoms, you can only wear 1 pair of red bottoms at a time. You don't need 2 pair. You know what I'm saying? So it's enough resources to go around. And so we have to understand that. We have to understand the people that we put in power and what their duties are. We have to know that we are to move on
if they don't do their job. If they don't know their job, if they don't know their place, if they don't know this is a spiritual experience, and that there are consequences to not following the rules in the physical and the spirit realm, stuff I always talk about. But it's, again, hopefully, if you watch this whole video, kind of revealing the bigger picture here. Then there's going to be consequences. You say, okay, witchcraft. You mean the witchcraft? Well, I don't know which witchcraft you're talking about, Alicia. The witchcraft of the powers have executed on us, or the witchcraft HM is talking about. I don't know, because whatever HM talking about, I ain't got nothing to do with that. He's sharing his truth. It's on there. The witchcraft I talk about is the different forms of manipulation that have, misled the masses. Say, if people do these spiritual things that are against God, wouldn't God punish them for it? It has happened. It has happened. And He's not even punishing us. That's what I'm getting. When I met with that entity, He's not punishing us. See, we don't know what occurred in times past. In times past, this God did speak to people. It did interact with people. And the first people that it interacted with, and probably for generations, based on what I'm seeing, were very aware that there were literally rules and regulations that Saturn energy. There were rules and regulations and policies and procedures that we had to adhere to. They were directly linked to or corresponded with the various forms of technology. Once those, it's like signing a promissory. Yeah, you go give me this technology. I'm saying here, I know what I'm supposed to do, and then don't do it. And so, if you do not follow the instructions, like even when you buy something today, it say follow the instructions, like a prescription. You get a prescription from a doctor, as they tell you, follow the prescription exactly. Take it at the same time. Do not give your medicine to nobody else. Don't accept no medicine from nobody else, because if you do, you inadvertently trigger an adverse effect. Boom. Same concept with this God, with the various forms of technology. See, we're at this point where we take everything for granted now. And that's why I be talking about the water ducts to plumbing, from candles to electrical, lighting, AC, DC, or whatever it is. Those kind of things. I talk about those kind of things. I'm talking about indoor plumbing. It was a time where none of that existed, and man was barely making it. We weren't surviving. We weren't striving. We was working ourselves to death. And as God comes in and offers us this technology to help us, facilitate our lives. But it was with stipulations. And over time, the powers, the leaders, began to dismiss those rules, those policies, those stipulations. And all for the purpose of being selfish and greedy and misleading people and trying to control and keep power and things like that. And I talked about, because this is what I most recently was made privy to, is that this God is either, I think I said it, good or bad, but it does have an interest in our demise, because it's like it gets to consume us. I was sharing in the most previous live streams I made, that in the vision I saw that we are, yes, in this physical form, we're flesh, blood, bone, and different things like that, but we're actually some type of substance. I don't even know how to describe the substance. I would have to go back into that space, and I don't want to. It was very uncomfortable, but I would like to look upon the face of that God again and be able to, sketch an image so y'all can see. But I don't want to feel what I felt, and I don't want to see the plots or grid, that plotted grid, and the smoke and the smell and I don't want to experience it. So I don't think I can. I went under there. First, I did it by mistake, just trying to eat a piece of peyote pie, which is edible. I'm calling it peyote pie, being funny. And I did it by mistake and went there. Didn't know I was going to go there and went there. And then the next time I had a little piece of pie left and I started throwing it in the garbage. The pie was delicious too. And I started throwing the garbage, but I was like, oh man, when I went to try to write the notes, I couldn't remember. That's one of the sets of notes here. I sat here and just kept trying to write them, and I couldn't recall every detail. I was like, if I eat this piece of pie, it's a chance that I'll go back. And I ate the little piece of pie, and oh yeah, I went back. But I didn't think about drawing a picture. I was just trying to write the notes. So, anyway. That was me summarizing what I covered thus far. Now, let me go back to the current state of consciousness and talking about in the final days, they'll be eating, drinking, da, 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 da. So right now I'm talking about some of the Bible verses, scriptures that have come to my mind over the last few months, and I'm about to deal with this generation. It says, we are here. I don't know if you can see it. Say, we are here. Like you be in a mall and says, you were here, right? You're right here, right here. Well, that's what this is saying. You're right here. And it's talking about our current state of consciousness. Now, yesterday I looked at the astrology and it talked about the end of August or late August. And it referred to the collective consciousness. I'm kind of thinking that because this is not astrological. These are just messages I heard. But I'm thinking that collective consciousness referred to in the astrological energies for later this month is this message I got some time ago. Just what I'm thinking. Anyway, what is it talking about? It's old, so I have to read it and try to make it make sense. It says, specific states of consciousness at this point in the history of humanity. It's saying, okay, 8 billion people of the world, there's a particular consciousness that exists collectively and in sectors. And again, I'm not talking about just cultural or race or nationality. I'm talking about it's a sector of people that got this type of consciousness, this type of consciousness, and this type of consciousness. So, anywho, it says the first one it's kind of like age bracket-ish. Best I can explain it is that the age is like 118 to the age of 80. This is how I'm trying to break it up and explain it. For the ages of 118 to the age of 80, they are incapacitated. You know, that's whether they're sickly, just incapable of, being very effective in this physical world. You know, once you get over that hill, it gets a little difficult to move around, be physical, to think, to be active, to philosophize. We got people now that suffer from what they call it, Alzheimer's and dementia. So they're incapacitated. We're talking about the consciousness of the people. So what can you contribute if you're in this particular group? What can you contribute? You're incapacitated. Okay. The next group is about the age of 79 to 60-ish. And I'm not just saying it's that age bracket, but this is how the best way I can articulate the various subconscious categories that exist. We have overall collective subconscious of concern, fear, and worry. And I think, again, that's what this August 29 degree Sun 29 degree in Leo represents. Anywho, so the next one is the age 79 to 60, which is complacent. I'd have made it. I'd have worked my 30, 40, 50 years. I can pay my mortgage or my rent, or the house finally paid off, that ragged ass house, the roof paid off, my car paid off, or my kids drive me around and complacent. I'm okay. I can sit on my couch. I got my own furniture. I can sit down. I ain't got to beg nobody no more. I ain't got to borrow. My kids okay. They grown. They gone to work or whatever the case is. You ain't got no worries no more about somebody gonna eat or not. You can go on out to your Elias Brothers or your McDonald's and get a hamburger. You just complacent than a mother sucker. Waiting on your days. Waiting the days out. You know what I'm saying? You can you free. And that what happens with a consciousness of complacency? where you're not interested in being actively involved in trying to rock the boat, change nothing, sacrifice nothing. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about in these final days, which is now, right here, right now. The state of mind or consciousness that people are in. So this is one of the messages I got. The next category of states of consciousness a person can occupy or are occupying at this time is like something that's similar to people in the age of 59 to 34, 59 to 34, and that is conformity. It is the consciousness of conformity. Again, not making no waves, trying to make enough money or resources to live your best life or whatever type of life you want. Conformity. What do I have to do so that I can indulge, so that I can pacify my physical worldly wants, needs, urges, and desires? I'm about to get high. You know, I'm going to get drunk. I'm about to sip my wine. I'm about to go on this trip. What do I need to do? So that's another state of consciousness. And that particular state of consciousness does not allow a person to be what? A rebel. A rebel. Age of Aquarius, rebellion. This time period we're in, coming out the web, biting your foot off like a mouse in a trap. We're rebellion, you know. So that state of being incapacitated, complacent, or conforming does not allow you to live up to the call of what? Rebellion, in order to reform. Okay. The next category is, I can explain that. The next category is between the ages of 33 and 10, and it is the consciousness of contentedness, and that is what we call today the cancel culture. Cancel it, ignore it, it'll go away. Ignore it, it'll go away. It's not what? It won't allow us to rebel, to stand up, stand up for something that we believe in. And what is it that we believe in collectively? At least we should. I think we do. But it says don't want nothing that don't resonate with you and something that you are not. Is that we want to be able to live life, feel secure and safe. You know, live our best life, strive, and then die off easy. That's all we want. Not much. You know, we don't want to be stressed out, scared, afraid, and all that kind of stuff. Okay. And then the next state of consciousness corresponds with like the ages of 9 to newborn. And so let's talk about that consciousness. It's a charmed or captivated consciousness. What am I saying? I'm going to try to explain. Charmed or captivated consciousness. It's whatever is taught to you. That's all you know. If all you know is submitting, that's all you're going to do. It's equivalent to the enslavement of Africans. The enslavement of Africans. The first Africans that were brought over here probably fought like cats and dogs to free themselves because they knew freedom. They knew wealth. They knew sovereignty. But when they had kids on the land that, you know, they were taken to, enslaved in, foreign land, foreign territory, foreign language, everything. And that generations, those generations that were born in captivity were charmed. They were captivated. They were consciously. That state of consciousness still exists today. And why were they captivated or charmed? Because all they knew was the foreign land. All they learned was the new language. You know what I'm saying? All they knew was that they were to work the field or whatever duty they were told to fulfill. That's all they knew. They knew nothing else. They had no point of reference. It wasn't like their ancestors or their parents or ancestors. Man, they ain't know nothing about no freedom, no sovereignty, and living in the bush or however they live. You know what I'm saying? They know nothing about it. So that was the norm to them. The norm. So here we are. Same thing as this now. For our 9-year-olds to newborns, they're learning to be complacent. You know? Quiet. Without the ability to rebel. Without the spirit of rebellion.
without having the spirit or the ability to demand a birthright. That's what it is. This is a state of consciousness that I was told still exists here today. So my point is, they're no threat. Like the children won't even be a threat. Okay. I guess I'm gonna have to end this because it's gonna end up being real long, and I know I won't get no views. Oh my God! But it's a reason. Follow. Like, y'all, only thing I gotta do is follow the rules. That's all I gotta do is follow the rules. What does it mean, follow the rules? What am I talking about? I'm disheartened about, y'all know about the success, lack of success of my YouTube channel. But all I gotta do is follow rules. See, this is my ego. Aquarius man. This is my ego. I know that all I gotta do is follow the rules. Do it. Even though I can't see it right now. All I gotta do is follow the rules. All I gotta do is follow the rules. That's all I gotta do. And it will be okay. Let it go. You gain this 2 hours again. Okay. But I'm scared to stop because if I stop, I might not come back. But if it's too long, then. But as long as I follow the rules, it is what it is. It's doing what it's supposed to do, where it's supposed to go. Okay. Let's think. What does it say? Remember, I'm going to just read this real fast. Oh, but there's so many other things I want to talk about. Why not? Please like, share, and if you haven't already, subscribe. If you're interested in supporting me and my work, you can do so by, what is it called? Cash Apping me. My Cash App is Can Angels Fly Tarot. It's on my homepage in the upper right hand corner. And if you ever feel like ordering your own personal tarot reading, you can do so by contacting me by email. My email is canangelsfly at 1@gmail.com. Okay. I don't know what this is. These notes are so old. Let me read them. Stuck in the previous paradigm, possess outdated ideologies and philosophies. Consciousness. I get it. But is that it? I get it. Hopefully I can hear me read that because it said, did you take the vaccine? I didn't even read that. I don't know what I'm going to do. I really don't know what I do. I think for the first time in my life, I don't know until it happened. Be like a wild, I think I'll be like a wild beast. I just, just in my heart, you know, in my heart, I just don't feel like that's the right move. I don't feel like that's the right move. I even feel like the D, this variant, is from the VAC. The VAC. From the VAC. I think the D is from the VAC. I don't feel like it's the right move. I'm into following the rules. I don't make many waves, long as it's smooth and groovy. But I just don't feel like it. Especially, you know, I've been going over it in my head over and over again. And then I just can't. And then I've been watching over this last week, I've been watching my older videos, some of which I've been republishing or suggesting and posting. And I tell you, I'm spookily active, scarily accurate, scary accurate, something like that. I'm accurate. Again, I just be following the rules. I don't know what I'm talking about. I can't see the bigger picture. I just tell you what I see. Bigger pictures are unfolding, you know, and that which guides me and instructs me and informs me. I tell you guys, never, if it had ever misled me, had ever misled me, I would tell you, I would think I was crazy. I was like, yep, I'm crazy in the best. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Sure enough. But in all my life, it has never misled me. It's kept me alive. It's kept me living ghetto fabulous without committing no crimes. So I'm not insane. I'm not crazy. Never have been. Hope I won't be. with all this stuff. But, and I watched my videos. See, in times past, I didn't have recordings. I always tried to record myself, but it never worked. It rarely worked. I couldn't keep up with cassette tapes and stuff. And, because I'm from the old school, that's telling my age. I used to write. I would write. And I have pages and books of information. Moving, losing stuff, and floods, and, basements flooding, and it just get gone. This is the first time I've been able to save an archive of the messages that I received, my thoughts, my thought process. And so I get to go back and look at it now. And I'm like, it was very, very accurate, even though I couldn't see the whole big picture. I'll tell you. I'm seeing. I am seeing. I always have seen. Gift for the family. Gift for the family. What was this? Stuck in a previous paradigm. See, he was talking about the consciousness of the people. There are some people that are stuck in a previous paradigm. What was this about? Possessing outdated ideologies and philosophies. Physically fragile and weak. Financially limited. I don't know what that was about. I get somewhat of an idea. I think stuck in the old paradigm might have been about, but I ain't sure. Maybe I'll trigger my memory when I read the rest. But maybe it corresponds with, see, this is old, and I just had new experiences. It's saying, how God said there were some stipulations that we were supposed to adhere to, and we didn't. So all our old ideologies and philosophies are based on what we were taught, but we were miseducated, improperly influenced. And we're still stuck in that way. It was wrong. And it's led us to where we are now with all the death traps and the demise. So that's the mindset. That's the consciousness of the people. Get over it. Get out of it. Physically fragile. Why? We were improperly influenced by the food industry or whatever. Cigarettes, everything. We not who we're supposed to be. And we have examples of whom we're supposed to be. Each of us. We have people that are supposed to be like Einstein. We're supposed to be just that intelligent. We have people that, I don't know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, physically fit. We're supposed to be that. We have, I don't know, smart, strong, capable, conscious. We got Elon Musk, whatever his name is, with that futuristic thinking, that vision, to tap into the vision. We are psychics like, what's his name? Poe. What's his name is? Edgar Allan Poe or something like that? Edgar Casey. Each of us have this potential, but we have been, improperly influenced. So we're falling short. And due to us not reaching our potential, we are financially limited or capped. And not just financial, as far as resources are restricted from us. We've been bamboozled. What is this? The giver of knowledge from experience. Financer and funder. Seer of changing times and trends. Oh, man. I just couldn't make myself come on to YouTube. Agenda 21. So, let me see. I have no idea what that is. I'm going to read it, and maybe it'll come to me later. The giver of knowledge from experience. The giver of knowledge from experience. Financer or funder. Seer of changing times and trends. The elderly. That's what I think it is. The elderly. Every age bracket has its gifts to give, offer to humanity. We've been taught to not appreciate people's gifts. Right now, with a primary focus on seniors or the elderly. What are they? They are the givers of knowledge from experience. They got points of reference. They didn't live some 70, 80, 90, 100 years.
They know it's been tried and it found true or false, and they know the answer, but we don't acknowledge them, especially in the United States. Why am I talking about this? Because right now I'm dealing with the states of consciousness and why we are capped and what is going on. How do we free ourselves from this web? It says they are financiers and funders of movements. This is what they're supposed to do with their finances. We're supposed to take care of them, make sure they get everything they need, medical, food, water, companionship, everything. They're supposed to fund our movements. They're supposed to fund the upholding of the community. Why? Because based on our specific time in the history of humanity, we are just coming out of like the industrial age. This is when I talk about like the rise of the black middle class as an example. People were making a lot of money. People were finally buying homes. People were finally selling. You know, people finally got savings accounts. People were able to invest in their children and send them to college. And it's first generational college educated folks that became doctors and lawyers and stuff. They were funders, but they weren't supposed to just stop with their family. They were supposed to continue, but we're supposed to take care of them. This is their gifts that they offer to expand and allow us to stay free, liberated, and to help our consciousness evolve. So they're supposed to be funders, and they're supposed to fund. What was it about? Fund and finances. They are seers of change, seers of changing times and trends. If we really want to know where we're going, we should be able to turn and consult with our greatest intuitives or psychics or seers, which are our seniors. And the reason why they can see what can occur is in the future is because they got what the point of reference. They've lived quite a long time. They've seen patterns, and you know, patterns change, shift, things come and go, and so they should be able to. Dang, I almost had a word. It hollered the word at me and I missed it. They should be able to see. What was the word? I can't. Maybe to come back. I missed it. They threw it. I missed it. They should be able to see the trends that are going to occur. They should be able to see the changes that will soon take place. Why? Because of trends. Just like people that watch the market, but we dismiss our elderly. Let's see. Binary truth. Each absolute truth. Oh, yeah. Oh, I hope I can do that. Best portal of survival is to buy seeds to grow food in your garden. Yes, definitely. Binary truths. Each absolute truths. That is a very deep concept that I was instructed to talk about. And it's about absolute truth. Remember this guy I keep telling y'all about, this ethereal being, this God? That God is the absolute. It is the all. It is the God of the Bible. It's the God of the upper world and lower world. It is not a good or bad God, but it does have an interest in our demise if we, fail to adhere to the stipulations attached to its assistance in the form of like technology. Anyway, it was talking about our state of consciousness and understanding this, that there's a binary truth. Truth is binary. Absolute. Let me say it like this. Absolute truth is binary. And when I was hearing this message, I was like, that is what they call an oxymoron. Listen to what I'm saying. Absolute truth. Complete truth. It's binary. Why? Because this God that I'm talking about is all consciousness. Like I said, it's neither good nor bad. It is the creator of what we call evil or bad or dark. It is also the creator of the light and the good and the heaven. They're both truths. It's truth. If you follow one set of stipulations, you get a result. It is the truth. But if you follow these stipulations or regulations, rules, policies, whatever, then you're going to have this outcome. This is the truth. The truth. The absolute truth. It's binary. I can't remember why it told me to talk about it. Because it was something about people getting to the truth. It was something about that. Remember, these are old notes. Getting to the truth. What is the truth? I think it was about, maybe, if I recall, so much information. A flood or avalanche of information that's been happening. Age of Aquarius. What is the truth? Tell them that the truth, the absolute truth, is binary. That's kind of how I understood the message. It's binary. That all is true. Because it is consciousness. It is the truth maker. How do I describe this here? It's a truth maker. Even though those terms seem like oxymoron or antithesis or contradictory. This is the truth. I don't know how to do that. It's absolute truth. And the best way, I'm going to try to sum that up for now, maybe to have me come back to it later, is that when I talk about technology and they're offering us technology to help us to facilitate our existence and ward off death and to live a reasonable life and to strive and to eventually die off easy. That's what technology, the various advancements in technology will permit humanity to do. But you must abide by the rules, the stipulations. If we do not, we will inadvertently trigger the opposing, the opposing result, a contrary result. That is what it means by absolute truth. The technology works. It can alleviate. It can help. But if you use it, or if you step over certain boundaries, if you stay within the boundaries of which this God tells us, it resolves issues. It's heaven. I'll just sum it up as heaven here on earth. But if you overstep the boundaries to the same technology, it becomes hell here on earth. Absolute truth. It's all true. It is Pandora's box. It is a gift and it is a curse. You know, it's the right way to. It's no wrong. I can't say it's no wrong. It's no wrong way to use it. Technology, it is what it is. It's I am that I am. It is what it is. It's stipulations. You know, depending on what stipulation you stick to, determines your outcome. It's all true. It's all true. I don't know how. Maybe we'll come back to it. Now, what do I have here? I got cancel culture, contemptuous, young adults, and conceited. And this is education. Still under this same thing of cancel culture. Contemptuous, young adults, and conceited. Education. Teach us about the intricate details that govern our reality. This is the dismissal of laws. Dismissal of laws. So what am I talking about right now? I'm focusing on a state of consciousness, a particular group of people that have this cancel culture mentality, who are very contemptuous and, again, dismissing. And these are mostly young adults. They're very conceited. Is what it says. Hello, sugar. How are you? Very conceited. And now examples of how this state of consciousness is perpetuated in our reality is an example like education. A lot of youngsters, especially in the inner city, I always refer to, my immediate environment because I can see it clearer. It's like it's freezing. Want to dismiss education. A lot of what I hear is like a lot of what we are taught in school is not true. But in fact it is. Most of it is. There have been some things that weren't true or incomplete. But this cancel culture wants to like dismiss education. And education is necessary. Remember, there are rules. YouTube can't stand a real one. I already know. I ain't gonna let you upset me too. Started streaming 12 minutes ago, so they been stopped me and started me back again. Oh my goodness. I ain't gonna worry about it. Ain't worried. But that's good. I mean, it's another video then. So, they want to dismiss education as an example. Now, remember, every form of technology, including education, a framework that describes and catalogs our reality. This is what education is. They want to dismiss it. Now, that's a form of technology. Early stages of technology, first you got to get the instruction book. The instruction book come first. Well, now a lot of people want to dismiss education. They want to dismiss the technology. Misusing or not abiding by the stipulations set forth relative to that particular form of technology. And then what happens is death traps come. So, going on talking about education as a technological advancement is one of our core social constructs. It teaches about the intricate details that govern our reality. Language, writing, logic, order, vocabulary, accounting, timing are just a few examples. But they want to dismiss it. That is a violation, one of the gross violations against God that triggers a death trap. So let me read what I got, because maybe I talked about the death trap before I knew it. It says, caution, risk takers, lack of respect for rules. I was talking about the death traps before that vision. A lack of respect for the rules. Wow. Deep. Okay. A lack of respect for the rules. This realm of rules, laws, limitations, and boundaries. Okay. And it says caste system, the social caste system. It's a prisoner of the powers. Caste system. Social caste system. Prisoner of the powers and constrained by the binding system. Before I knew, I followed the rules, and this was just a message I was receiving. I ain't even finished it. I didn't do the categories of consciousness with complacency, conformity, incapacitated, and debilitated. Okay, I did it out of action. I didn't go back through. So I only did the council culture one, because what it's saying, remember, if you violate the stipulations or the rules to the technology, if you don't do it as you have been instructed by the creator and the giver of the technology, then you activate a death trap. Now the death trap is for this cancel culture. Now it seems that it's possible that humanity won't be able to stand up for itself. It won't be able to fight. It won't be able to get right. It won't be able to be righteous. It won't be able to chew its own leg off, limb off like a mouse in a trap, or free itself from the spider with this web we are, wrapped in. It don't seem like it. So the chances are highly likely that removing this new paradigm is going to end up manifesting a reality, manifest destiny. Manifest destiny into the physical.
in which there is a draconian law system. There are authoritative governance over the people or the populace, the big brother system. It seems like that if we can't stand up for ourselves. And in this system, the cancel culture, primarily in the age bracket I offer, this is a prime example, for those that embody that consciousness, will not be able to combat the system. Remember, those that are younger than this grouping of people that I'm talking about, and I'm not just primarily talking about an age group, but it's primarily found in an age group. The younger generation are charmed and captivated. All they know is what we teach them. Well, this cancel culture are the parents and the grandparents of those youths, of those infants, the 9 to newborn, that are charmed and captivated. They only know what their elders teach them. Well, the elders don't know nothing. Their parents don't know nothing. They dismiss. They are the cancel culture. They dismissed everything. They dismissed every natural law and rule and stipulation. They dismissed the technology of education that allowed them to do battle in a new paradigm. They do not, I'm going to use the law as an example, they don't know the language. They don't know the body of law. They are not knowledgeable. This is just an example. This is one of the branches of education, law, that has a language, a vocabulary, and those kind of things. They don't know it. Remember their signature, or their name in capital. Everybody talking about their names being up in capital letters, talking about you are as an individual corporation, an extension of the United States corporation. You are what they call a subsidiary or whatever it's called, corporation. They don't know that. They won't know how to use it. Or the signature. You know what I'm saying? Your validation. They don't understand the signature versus writing in a manuscript. Or that there's even a manuscript in these are all used legally. They don't understand the vocabulary or the terminology or how to build or construct a sentence or to dialogue with the courts or in the courts. So how can you combat the court? If the council culture, that grouping of people, that consciousness of people, has dismissed or canceled everything that could possibly help them, their descendants will never be introduced to the tactics that they need to escape the death trap, the ultimate death traps, all activated. Hope that makes sense. I don't even know. I'm gonna let it go. What does it say? Because I want to talk about these scriptures. Laws. There is one facet of our physical worldly experience that sums up the area of manipulation, and that is truth. What am I saying? I'm saying the powers have been able to manipulate us by defining truth. That's why the God wanted me to talk about truth being absolute, the absolute truth, and it's being binary. But they've been using that. That's so interesting. Oh my God, that's interesting. That's so interesting. What am I talking about? I'm thinking about a video I made following a line of thought. And this is when I was working in the Bible. And it talked about the God of this world. And I said, they all gonna know. They can't say they won't know. But they gonna know in part. Because, has an interest in our demise. But I'm going to let them know. I'm going to give them a chance. Ain't that something? And that is truth. So we've been manipulated by what truth is. It's this big argument all the time about what is truth. Well, guess what? There are rules, regulations to this realm. And if you abide by them, then those rules and regulations and stipulations are truth. If you use them, what the results are, it's truth. If you go against them, what happens?
It's the truth. You know, it's all true. You don't know what truth is. It's all true. It's truth. Absolutely. Okay. The people have been manipulated to deny the absolute truth exists. The absolute truth exists. That hold on to that. If you can't hold on to nothing else I'm talking about, it says the people have been manipulated to deny the absolute truth. That absolute truth exists. I talked about absolute truth. Hey, I give you this information. It's the truth. It's true. It's true. If you use it the way I tell you to do it, follow the rules, regulations, stipulations, what happens? It's the truth. If you use it another way, what happens? It's the truth. All of that together, dealing with every aspect and dynamic of this existence, is absolute truth. People deny that absolute truth exists. People splitting hairs when you talk about the truth. And the God wanted people to know that. They splitting hairs. You know what the truth is. Defining absolute truth, it says infinite, oxymoron statement, binary or contrary absolute truth to, yet there is only one absolute truth. The one truth is the consciousness of all possibilities. The one truth is the consciousness of all possibilities that permits awareness. I'm going to say that again. What am I talking about? I just write notes when I hear these voices. And it said, and same thing I've been talking about, y'all. Just sum it up another way so I can try to get an understanding before I get on here. What do you mean by death trap? Well, Alicia, I just made 2 live streams called Visions. One is called Horrible Visions, and the next one is called me continuing to talk about my horrible visions. If you can locate them and watch them, I go into talking about my visions, and I talk about the death traps that have been erected throughout the history of humanity, and how we are in a time in which there are 85%, we'll say, of the land mass, the best way I can describe this vision, is full of death traps. And they're all about to be activated. 85+%. You know, oh God, don't make my head hurt, Lisa. Don't make my head hurt. Oh, just thinking about that. So, what am I saying? I'm going back over and talking about truth, because there are minions, and it's this God's minions. It's this God's species. I mean, they got an interest in our demise because they get to consume our substance. But we got a chance. It lets us know that they're using truth. They're confusing you with truth. You know, so you don't know what truth is. Well, I'm telling you what truth is, and that's what I've been explaining. And so I'm reading. Binary or contrary absolute truth. That's what I was talking about. Yet there is only one absolute truth. Even though it's binary, it's all encompassing. That's what truth is. It's absolute truth. Really, is the one truth. If you want to know what truth is, the one truth is it's the consciousness of all possibilities. Everything that could possibly exist. That we aren't even on the level to fathom or to comprehend. All the possibilities in every scenario, and every quantum leap, and every quantum scenario is the truth. Hope that makes sense. That permits awareness. In this binary realm, the absolute truth is there are 2 steps of rules that define the ambiance, the mood, character, quality, tone, atmosphere in this realm. Whew. I don't know how I choose to talk to me, but it be talking. And all right. I wish you could heal my hands, because that's old looking hands from all that. I ain't going. If the people acknowledge one set of rules, then if they disregard one set of rules for the other, then is all. Absolute truth. Okay. That's that. Amazing, 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 amazing. Just amazing, amazing. Daughters of prophecy. Now, what I'm going to do
Since this thing restarted, I'm gonna refresh it. How long is it gonna say? It said I started streaming 12 minutes ago. So I guess it cut off and cut back on. Oh, I just need some coffee. How do you cope during the lockdown? Do you think there will be more lockdowns? I do. I'm refreshing my page, y'all, because I'm frozen. I want to go on while I'm inspired. But they get an interest in our demise. Ridiculous. I have the option. We all have the option to do better. So it has to allow it. Even though it can lead to difficulties, technical difficulties, blockages to overcome. Oh well, I guess I'm just gonna make me a cup of coffee as soon as I get this. I'm hungry. What time is it? Oh, it's 7 o'clock. I ain't ate. Oh my God. Oh, my ear hurt. Okay. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. I am going to take a break. Anywho, I thank you for coming here to Can Angels Fly, Tarot, and more, and allowing me to do a live research and meditation in order to explore what tomorrow will bring. I am, oftentimes I make very, 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 very long live streams. This is getting very long. It's already 3 hours long. And so I know that is a no-no, so I'm trying to stop. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go make me a cup of coffee so I can smoke my cigarettes and drink me some coffee and finish with this live. Finish with this research and meditation session in order to figure out what's going to happen tomorrow, you know? But again, I thank you for dropping by here to Can Angels Fly, Tarot, and more, and sharing in this live stream with me. If you're ever interested in ordering your own personal tarot reading, you can do so by contacting me by email. My email is canangelsfly1@gmail.com. And if you're ever interested in supporting me and my work, you can do so by Cash Apping me. My Cash App name, I think, is $Can Angels Fly Tarot. Not quite sure. It is on my home page on my YouTube channel. Until later. Bye.